You're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
They got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people, and people is misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E?
I object.
Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Or she found out?
What more can you see?
Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Just about clicked the wrong button and killed the music, but here we go. Welcome especially to Rianne K. Rianne, congratulations. First in chat this afternoon. If it's glitching, go in and out. Have you tried turning it off and on again? That's my tech help for the day. YouTube, some people are having trouble. Other people are saying there's no problems whatsoever. If it's glitchy for you, if the sound sounds funny, if it's like clipping a lot, just refresh your screen. We refuse to behave until you tell us. Behave. So, there you go. Now it's all good. All right, sounds in and out. Alternate juror, refresh. Sounds good to me. Sounds good. And it shows I'm pushing a pretty constant 7. Is it mega? It's not megabits. 7 megabytes per second data rate, which is good. It's medium. It's not 4K, but I'm not. You guys couldn't watch it in 4K anyway because YouTube has too long of a delay for 4K.
I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
I'm not going to argue. Who's chat security? It used to. Chat security. I know who this is. Chat security is approved. Chat security is approved. That's all I can tell you. The anonymity is for your own protection. Because if you find out, you'd have to, yeah. I think a couple of you onto chat security. The gig is up, right? All right. Well, we get set to go here this afternoon. Not there. Wait for it. All right. I think we're doing better now. All right. Welcome. I think it's 6-volt bus as well. Yeah, not Ivan, not Thal. I think it's 6-volt bus. Well, I'm not sure if he had a good lunch or not, but Mr. Burgess is still on the stand. When we come back, he's going to continue a redirect examination, and then possibly some recross. That might get us towards the end of the day. There's a chance we have another witness, and it might be Dr. Welcher. But I'm not going to hold my breath for that one. So, sounds good. So, you guys ever use the FRS radios? They call them family radio service radios. Little tiny radios you buy in like a pair at Walmart for $15 each, and they work pretty good. You have like 20 channels or 18 channels or something like that, and a couple quiet codes. The big brother of FRS radios is GMRS radios, which is general. It's a general radio service. Requires a license to use, but the license requires no tests, and it's just a $35 fee. So I have to, for this gig I'm doing up in Virginia, they need radios, and we decided, look, FRS isn't going to have the range because they're really low power, CB is not going to work because it's a CB, and then nobody else wanted to go get their ham radio license, which I thought was the best option. Get everyone ham radio licensed and then use ham radios. So instead, I had to go get my GMRS license so we can do GMRS. Of course, then I need to buy another radio. So that radio will arrive tomorrow, GMRS radio, because you can't just use. It's non-commercial. Yeah, this is a volunteer organization, non-commercial. Not getting paid for this at all. It's a lot like CB. But we've just got a large group. Is it a business expense? It's a lot like we're going to be on like a 2,500 acre ranch. Probably about, and I already checked. I'm able to fly my drone in the area. I'm far enough from DC that I can do that. There's only like a 30-mile buffer from the airport that I have to worry about. Anyway, so I think I'm able to fly my drone to get some aerial footage, which would be nice because I haven't been able to fly it in North Carolina at all. But GMRS is great because their channel's set aside for repeaters. Yes, I don't think we'll need to do that, although I can set up a repeater if they need one. Can I stow away in your suitcase? You're not going to want to. Melissa, you're not going to want to. We're filming a 1800s reenactment with all the luxuries that come with that time period. So wear your bonnets and your aprons, girls and guys. Put on that pair of suspenders and those heavy. I don't know what pants they wear. Some denim wasn't a thing yet, right? It's like rust, but less shooting. Melissa's like, never mind, I'm out. Day 189 felt correct. Anyway, so we're trying to rig all that together. So I have radios that can do that, but the capability to do that does not also equal the legality to do that. So, I have really fancy ham radios, some really cool ones that can talk and listen on a wide range of frequencies, but I only have legal authority to talk on limited frequencies. And GMRS is outside of my ham radio licensed area. So I need a GMRS license, but now with the GMRS license, I can't just use my ham radio gear to talk on GMRS frequencies because I have to be limited in power and a couple other things. So can you not fly a drone where you live? North Carolina hates drones, and they hate people who like drones. Am I streaming it? No, I'm not. It's private. Branch Davidian compound? No, close. No, it's going to be... It's a horse riding. It's an outdoor horse trails area, but it's a private ranch. Deanie Mullis, I did not see your post about the coffee mug, or if I did, I forgot about it. I apologize. I'm from New Jersey. Apparently, everyone had a drone a few months ago. Hey, well, I had a drone before people knew what drones were. Like, I honestly believe I was the first person in my state to own a drone, and it was amazing because nobody had ever seen close-up footage from the air before. Like, you got like helicopters, but they're like 400 feet up or higher. No one had ever seen like close-up footage from the air, unless it was like you rent a Skyjack and you're up there filming from there. I could go around and film. I could charge $400 an hour to film with my drone. And it was, I mean, back then, of course, I had to build my own gyro-stabilized gimbal because you couldn't just have that pre-installed working on your drone. The first drone I had, DJI had just become a thing. They were just figuring out how to fly the thing. It was crazy. But nowadays, for $400, you can buy a nice drone that will do all the filming for you, and you don't even have to fly it. So, crazy. I'm at the horse ranch in Virginia, says to you twice. Oh, good. Wait for me. Save me a spot. It's going to be crazy. I've got so much gear. This is what I'm concerned about. I've got so much gear to take up as far as filming, gyro-stabilized gimbals, for the cameras we're using. Battery packs to charge everything because we're going to be remote off grid for this. So I've got a 25-pound battery, a 200-watt solar array to charge that while I'm out filming. Did I put drone qualification? Drone certification? I'm not Part 107 certified, so I can't fly it for commercial use. It's just hobby. What is this filming for? It's for a private group. It's a youth summer camp activity. RA continues to drone on and on. Whole family going, no, just me. Anyway, it's going to be fun, and I'm trying to figure out how to get around everywhere. Right now I'm trying to figure out if they'll let me bring an e-bike so I don't have to hoof it. I've done this twice before, and there's so much hoofing it involved. It's like, imagine periodically, like I'd say like every 15 minutes, just running like a 300-yard dash. If that's maybe 400-yard dash, I think that's a thing. Just a quick run 400 yards and then hold still and don't breathe loud while you film and wait for things to happen and then run another 400 yards. It's just, it's like, it's the worst possible form of exercise, right? A horse, I'm not good on horses, and I need a big horse. I'm a big guy. I need a big horse. It's going to be a trek. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, so I'm trying to figure that out. Radios are part of it. Cameras are part of it. On top of all that, the idea is that we're filming and editing while we're up there. So we're literally editing in a tent. So I'll have Starlink and some remote storage going on, and then by the end of the week we should have a finished video or so. Is it like the show Frontier House? I think Little House on the Prairie, but less house, less house, just on the prairie, and stick it in Virginia. More bugs, less house. That's pretty much what we're making. We're remaking that whole series. All right. It's a lot of fun. Primitive adventure with high-tech videography, wireless mics, and everything else. Little Man on the Prairie. Little Man in the Corner on the Prairie is what it's going to be. So, yeah. Trial TV Live. Hello. Hello, friends. Welcome, welcome. Anyway, so trying to figure all that out is it's been a bit of fun. I've done it 3 times before, and one of the others, we'll do a recap here in just a minute. One of the other times I did it, we had 5 or 6 videographers, like 6 cameramen, which really helps because then you can really split up the work a little bit. But we ended up with 220 hours of footage or something like that. And the editing was terrible. Hang on just one second. I need to send a message to my Airbnb guy. No worries, period. Sorry, you don't need to hear this. Okay. All right. Got a new renter who's trying to figure out the payment system. All right, recap of part 1, please, says Chat Security. I missed most of it. I'm sort of new here, says the Chat Security with the wrench. Okay, so Shannon Burgess has been on the stand for the last couple days. He is he's a techie. He's a techie. He digs into the logs. He digs into the electronics. Chat security. You love this stuff. Of the vehicle specifically, and the phones, and basically anything that has a built-in computer. He's got his finger in that pie, and he's the one who discovered that there apparently is a clock drift or shift or between the vehicles, between the Lexus and John's cell phone and everyone else's devices, where if you account for the errors in the time and you sort of just move them over a little bit, everything lines up perfectly. And so he calculated what that should be, and it was a range, which is weird that there's a shift and it requires a range in such a narrow period of time for it to be accurate. But he's come up with that, and he doesn't work for Accenture. He works for Aperture LLC, which is a company that provides expert services for insurance and lawyers and things like that. And so he and his team, Dr. Welcher, who's going to testify in a little bit, they're going to do the testifying on the part of the prosecution or the Commonwealth to try to say, this is what happened. The logs show that Karen Reed was there at the time, right when the car backed up, and it stopped backing up. The stop of that event was right at the time that his phone stopped moving, and nothing else happened after that. And we're going to link those two up and put them together. That's some pretty powerful evidence for the Commonwealth, if you believe that. The problem is he did have some issues that with credibility as it went to his education. That we talked about that yesterday, where he had listed that he had a bachelor's degree he did not, in fact, have. And there are many different versions of when he got the bachelor's degree, which he did not, in fact, have. And there's also the issue that the bachelor's degree he claimed to have does not, in fact, exist. And so those had to be explained, and they were not explained very satisfactorily, in my opinion. Although Mr. Brennan thinks it's not a big deal, and just, oops, it was a typo. So we spent a lot of today hashing over the details and the data of where he differs from the defense experts. So this is crazy, because what we heard today was rebuttal testimony. We listened to rebuttal testimony during the prosecution's case in chief. And it's rebuttal of the defense experts' analysis of his work. So basically, they pointed out his errors, and so instead of testifying as his original findings, he's coming and testifying why defense is wrong at their rebuttal, which was crazy. And so we're looking at reports from experts we have not yet been introduced to yet. From that will testify for the defense. It's all backwards that way, but it's pre-rebuttal. It's like a butt dial. It's pre-rebuttal. Anyway, let's see. Juries have been taking a lot of notes, and so hopefully this will all come together for them and they can understand all the parts and pieces. But we are still on the part where Mr. Brennan is trying to rehabilitate his witness, because he really took a beating from Alessi, and really Alessi really made him look really bad. Part of the problem is almost every document, report, protocol, or CV this witness has ever produced has an error on it. And sometimes it's a big error, like, oops, I mixed up bytes and bits, and gigabytes and gigabits, and megabytes and megabits, and all of them. I mixed them all up, but I understand the difference. I know now. I've always known what the difference is. So that's an issue. I don't think he seems extremely confident on the stand. He has had to be led a lot by Mr. Brennan on direct to get the right answers out. And when Mr. Brennan isn't allowed to lead, he struggles a little bit and sometimes flip-flops between yes and no in questions because he misunderstood or something. And there's a lot of misunderstanding going on here. So not the strongest witness for the Commonwealth, but the data, the underlying data, if accurate from this witness is probably some of the most powerful data in the Commonwealth's arsenal in this case. All right, mixed up dates. Oh yes, January 29th, January 30th. Just a lot of mix-ups, There wasn't any pattern. The numbers didn't seem to make sense. The problem is that what I looked at, and we're talking about a chart that shows, let's see, we're looking at a chart that, wait, not that one. Okay. Hang on. We're looking at a chart that shows, sorry, Angela, hang on one second. Let me finish my thought here. We're looking at a chart that shows different vehicle events that doesn't make sense. It's literally just like ones and zeros and pluses and minuses to us. And we're supposed to see how many difference and how many seconds things were off and they shift. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. And every time you start the car, it's a little bit different. But we're using one of them to say, but if you look right here, there's a range that now everything fits. And yeah, maybe so. We are literally trying to reinvent the wheel and hack the machine backwards because we don't understand how Lexus works on their machines. We don't understand how Apple works on theirs. And we're trying to fit the pieces together as if we did understand them. And this testimony is a little interesting that way. So this witness is the prime example of why proofreading is of most importance, utmost importance even. It's all the things. It's all the things is what it is. All right. When we restart, we're going to still be having Mr. Brennan rehabilitating the witness. Oh, hang on. She's calling. Told you to wait, and you did. Just 1 second.
Call from Angela. I'll be quick.
Angela, I'll be quick. Go ahead. Are you there?
Yeah. I'm here. Brennan should really not give homework to people who love to dig. So I did some digging again regarding the clock and the cars, and asked people around who knows way more than me around cars and clocks and so on. Basically, what I found, EDR on Toyota, it has to be very accurate because that's like a black box. And it has its own clock that is independable on whatever else phones or whatever you have around. It has to have its own independent clock that is very accurate. Otherwise, it will go huller and buller, as what Swedish people would say, when it comes to other electronics in the car. You know.
You're saying that infotainment does, or?
Entertainment has its own very reliable clock, and it has to be reliable because basically all electronics in the car is relying on that clock.
They all link up to that system because that system has an interface with almost everything, right? It's the entertainment system that you can use to access the other systems to see if they're functioning properly. So there's a tie-in, there's a reporting mechanism where it all connect. I can see why it should be accurate.
It's independent. It should not be 15 or whatever many seconds off. It should be a Swiss clock, accurate, 0 seconds off.
Yeah, I agree. And it sounds surprising, especially in a day where we have cars that are connected to cell towers that we can sit here and say it was 30 seconds off. Usually it's, if it's within a second, I would be okay with that. But I mean, the clocks are getting their time from the cell towers. The cell towers are getting their time from the network, the internet, which is getting their time from the satellites. It's all, I mean, it's like clockwork. It just works together.
We know how Swiss clocks work. So think Swiss clocks.
Like a fine Swiss watch.
Yeah, like a Rolex.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't know. I've seen them in movies, but I have no idea what they look like in real life. I've heard that.
I just watched Eurovision. They have a little too many Swiss clocks references.
Too many, yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you very much, Angela.
Thank you.
This clock should be precise.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Brennan, so I'm gonna poke holes in everywhere I can find. I feel, so, and I am pretty sure I'm not the only one because people are pissed, especially, I know a few people that are not very happy with him.
Yeah.
How he insults or fields the people. by thinking.
Here's what I think he did wrong this time. He in rehabilitating this witness, he in effect has taken ownership for the mistake. And I stand by that. I think because Mr. Brennan filed the CV with the court to present to the court who he was, Mr. Brennan is owning that document. He's owning what it says on there because he's vouching for it to the court with his signature. You cannot, words matter. Words matter. The court made the decision based on that document and other information that there would be no Daubert hearing, that the defense didn't get to challenge his credentials. And now we're saying, oh, you never said you had a degree. Well, Brennan, you did. You said it to the judge, and it's in black and white. So, yeah, I think that needs to be addressed. But
well, a lot of things needs to be addressed. Not only that, there's a lot of problems with Commonwealth witnesses. So, just for I think this guy may not be legitimate, and by legitimate I mean he may have a questionable background, and how exactly did he come to the conclusions he came to, especially since, clock on the car is wrong. It shouldn't be wrong. It should not be wrong. Then something is seriously wrong with Toyota/Lexus cars, and they are, you can find it on Google by yourself, like how accurate EDR clock is. Yeah. It is like Swiss clock accurate. So it's crazy what he's claiming. I'm seriously thinking, I'm hoping that Lexus is or the Toyota is watching this and gonna do something about it. Well, maybe not for this trial, but about something to address this false information.
Yeah, the idea that their clock's just like, it's like, well, within a minute or so. Yeah, and that's like, and Lexus, the luxury brand that it is, so, it's close enough. Yeah, it's close enough. Who cares? Looks like we're starting to court again. Angela, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Good talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Is this Josh? I think it's Josh. I don't think it's 6-volt. I don't know who my mod is. We're slowly panning down. Like the drift on a clock. We're slowly panning down right now.
Put us back in session. You may be seated.
All right, Mr. Brennan, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Sir, when I asked you about your first report regarding the protocol, you told us October 10th, followed by your supplement on the 17th. You did not remember the day that you first received any information offered by Mr. DeSorga. Is there a document that may refresh your memory?
Yes, there is.
May I approach?
Yes.
What is that document? I don't know. Are you going to show me?
I want you to read this. I just want you to look at it. You can look at any part of it.
Okay.
And look up when you're done, then I'll ask you a question.
That gets me. I don't want you to read this. Just want you to look at it. Don't process the letters you see on the page.
Does that refresh your memory the first time that you saw any information provided by Mr. DeSorga?
Yes, it does.
And when was that?
November 7th of 2024.
Before or after you recognized the megabit and megabyte oversight?
That would be after.
I want to go back to where we were at before we went to lunch.
He found his own problem before
You had
anyone else did.
described 2 text stream events. I want to focus on the first text stream event, and that is the text stream event relative to the three-point turn.
Okay.
You had described that there was a timestamp 154. Just to reacquaint us, can you very briefly tell us the significance of 154?
Sure. So GPS point 154 is a GPS point that occurs just before the three-point turn starts.
And why is it important to identify when that turn starts and when it ends?
Sure. So what we're specifically looking at comparing is the end of the three-point turn. That's going to be the text stream event ending, which is near the end of the three-point turn, as well as the end of the three-point turn as recorded in Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone.
Was it important to identify the beginning and end of that event to come to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty regarding the variance between the text stream data and Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
Yes, there was. So we can't say, we can pinpoint approximately when the three-point turn ends based on the GPS data. But best practice would be to use a range of time. So the range we're using is the time that the three-point turn starts to the time that the three-point turn ends.
Could we have from Mr. Burgess's PowerPoint number 41, please? Is this part of your presentation helpful in explaining the beginning and end point of that three-point turn?
It does. It does. So if you recall yesterday, the heading change, first heading change from a general north heading is depicted by that green shading circle.
Could you use your pointer, please?
Sure. Yes.
Ms. Gilman, can you
good.
enlarge
Green on
this a little
green.
bit?
This should work really well. Maybe he'll use.
So again, so this green circle is going to be the
green on green looks good.
Center of this circle is going to be the GPS point itself. That's going to be centered on the horizontal radius, which is the accuracy. So the green circle represents the 16-foot accuracy zone. The black arrow coming off in a northwestern direction is going to be the heading for that point. And then again, the yellow is going to be the approximately 8 seconds later when the heading changes again in a southerly direction, and then the GPS points after that also continue south with increasing speed.
What part of the three-point turn event does the green circle signify?
Sure, so that's going to be the approximate beginning of the three-point turn.
And that time?
That's going to be 12:23:59.
The yellow circle, what part of the three-point turn does that indicate?
Sure, so that's going to be approximately the end of the three-point turn, and that time is going to be 12:24:07.
Is there any correlation between the times in the green, the time difference between the green and yellow circle, and the range you ultimately arrive at as far as the synchronization variance?
Yes, so that is what determines that range of 21 to 29 seconds.
This illustration or diagram where you've put the green circle, is that based on actual data?
Yes, that is based on actual data recorded by Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone.
That data, is it accurately reflected in this diagram?
Yes, it is. So again, the GPS point that is recorded within the iPhone, every point has a horizontal accuracy. And again, that horizontal accuracy is depicted by the green circle.
Is that level of precision used when you create this diagram?
Yes, it is.
The yellow circle, is that specifically reflected in the data, or is that an estimate?
Sure, so that's specifically reflected in the data. So that is another GPS position that has been recorded by the iPhone. Again, with a horizontal accuracy, a timestamp, and a speed and heading.
How about the orange circles?
So the orange circles are are portions of the GPS positions leading up to this event. So if we went back one slide, you would see, it would zoom out, obviously, so a little bit harder to see. But essentially what we've done is I've removed the other orange circles representing GPS points heading north and the GPS points heading south after the three-point turn. And I've just removed those for clarity to kind of clean up the map so it's easier to read.
On the left, text stream 11621. remind us again where that information comes from?
Sure. So that's the text stream. That's the end of the text stream event for the 3-point turn. And that is based on the infotainment clock as well as that running timer from the airbag control module.
Does this diagram reflect the data that you reviewed to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Yes, it does.
In breaking down this timestamp 154 and getting into the minute detail of when it started and ended, one of your charts, does it also show it numerically?
Yes, it does.
Can we have number 40, please? Before we discuss this again, where did you get the information to put in this chart?
Sure. So this is coming from Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone. Specifically, it's coming from a SQLite database that is recording locations as he's using the Waze app to navigate.
Is the information in this chart or diagram directly from the data?
It is directly from the data.
Is this accurate to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Yes, it is.
If we could zoom in just a little, we'll have to go left to right, Ms. Gilman. We start with the left. Timestamp 154. At what point in that 3-point turn does 154 represent on the left?
Yeah, so timestamp 12:23:58 or GPS point 154 is approximately 1 second before we see the heading change. If we could zoom out just a little bit. A little bit more. Yep, so we see the heading change represented in green. That's a heading change to 284. Before that, we've got a pretty consistent heading of 348 to 339. So that first heading change, as well as the drop in speeds, is indicative of a 3-point turn maneuver.
The latitude and longitude, did that assist you in making the diagram with the circles on it?
Yes, it did.
How so?
So the latitude and longitude are the center points for each GPS point, or the center point for each circle.
There's a green highlighted row and an orange highlighted row. What's the difference between the two?
Sure. So the green highlighted row is, again, the beginning, the approximate beginning of the 3-point turn. And the orange or the yellow is the approximate end of the 3-point turn.
And the time between the green and the orange lines?
Approximately 8 seconds.
Is that consistent with the range that you've shown for synchronization?
Yes, it is.
Point 21 or plus 21 and plus 29?
Yes, it is.
The inevitable variance that you found between the text stream data and between Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone, could you share with us to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty what that variance is?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Do you have an opinion about the time range and the synchronization between Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone data and the Lexus clock that shows the text stream data to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Objection, Your Honor, and appreciate an approach at the appropriate time.
Okay, so answer that question, yes or no.
Sure. So, yes, I can.
So I'll see you at sidebar, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Yannetti is up there waiting, hands on hip. Let's see what's up here. Paul's back. Peggy's back. The crew's back. Just in this redirect, 12 Schurs counted in this redirect. Why didn't they use a satellite image for this report? Probably licensing issues. Were they not already in front of the house at 12:23 a.m.? I think this image is the pre-shifted time. Right? The pre-corrected time. Have we seen this info for the 24-mile-per-hour reverse? No, Shaquille O'Neal, because, wait for it, the data we got with all these little circles comes from John's Waze app on his phone. If you've ever used Waze, it is incredibly accurate compared to other mapping tools out there that are not as designed to be so precise in where you're at. Waze uses a ton of battery power. It is constantly calling for the GPS location. It's constantly calling for updates on the sensors and moving things like that, and it's constantly recording things as well. So it will just, there goes your battery, sucks it dry, and because of that, we have a lot of very frequent bits of data. When they arrived at the house, John no longer needed to use Waze because he was now at the house. He had found his destination, so he turns off the app. And we have no movement because he's allegedly out of the car at the time that the reverse incident occurs. Appreciate an approach at the appropriate time sounds like air traffic control. I think the judge knew that he was going to object to the content that he was going to offer as an expert opinion. And the judge wanted to wait and see if he was going to attempt to offer it as an expert opinion before she decided to approach and listen to the argument. So as soon as he said, yes, I do have one, she says, okay, now your objection is timely, and we'll let you approach. 34 Fairview is close to the airport, so they can't fly drones. I believe you're correct. I think it's within a 5-mile buffer zone. People use Waze in Brazil because it shows police activity. That's almost exactly what we use it for as well. Although some of the other apps have started using the same data, like Apple Maps and Google Maps, I think, have some of that info. You'll get notifications. It's like, speed checkpoint ahead. So he's still considered an expert. According to the eyes of the court, yes. Do Android phones do this as well, or just iPhones? I think Androids probably did it before iPhone, to be honest. I think both of them do it now. Waze is owned by Google, so yes, it makes sense for Google Maps to use it too. John, I believe Karen drove and John was in the passenger seat, is my understanding. I use Waze just for the cool voice effects. Have any of you noticed that I use Apple because I'm an Apple fanboy, I guess. Have any of you noticed that the voice for Siri for navigation is changing? Like it's slowly morphing. If you could go back and hear Siri when she was first introduced, you'd be like, who is this on my phone? And where did you come from? And where's my AI? The voice has been morphed and changed. And now it's almost to the point where it slurs words to match local dialect. It's going through puberty. It's pretty funny when she's like, you've arrived. And instead of you have arrived, it's now you've arrived. They're just some funny things that we catch occasionally. Even the Australian one changed.
We go back to slide 40, please. In reaching your conclusion about the variance between the defendant's Lexus as contained in the text stream as it relates to Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone, was stamp 154, timestamp 154, part of your analysis?
Yes, it was part of my analysis.
Was the running clock on the text stream data part of your analysis?
Yes, it was part of my analysis.
What else was part of your analysis?
Sure. So in addition to the location data, including the GPS 154, that would be the running clock for the text stream data, as well as the infotainment clock from the Lexus.
How does the running clock correlate with the text stream data and with the time on Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone?
Sure. So they correlate. So the running clock and the infotainment clock are used to create that timestamp for the text stream events 1 and 2. And then comparing those to the iPhone, we can adjust and get a clock variance for those.
Did you come to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty about the variance range between the defendant's Lexus and its clock system and Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
Yes, I did.
And to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, what is that variance that is needed to identify for synchronization?
There's the objection. Oh, it's allowed.
That is 21 to 29 seconds.
We now have number 43.
Mo, these are all questions that deserve answers, and I can't. Commonwealth needs to. They need to tighten this down a little bit.
Did you create this diagram?
I did, yes.
Oh, great. It probably has a problem on
comparing
it.
The
Spot the errors.
event,
Spot the errors.
the backing maneuver, to Mr. O'Keefe's clock on his phone. Do you recognize the different timestamps on each device?
Yes, I do.
When you are trying to synchronize them, what do you do? What is the base? Do you start with the text stream event and you add, or do you start with Mr. O'Keefe's phone and subtract?
Sure. So we could do it either way. Because we're wanting to compare this against other events that happened or occurred on Mr. O'Keefe's phone, we're going to adjust the text stream clock or the Lexus clock to Mr. O'Keefe's clock. But you could do it either way.
The window that is depicted on this diagram, this is not the three-point turn?
No, this is not the three-point turn.
Which event is this?
This is going to be the backing maneuver.
The green, what does that green depict?
Sure. So the green depicts the range of time that this text stream event ended. So based on our range of 21 to 29 seconds, and applying that, adding that to the Lexus clock, we get a adjusted time of 12:32:04 to 12:32:12, and that's going to be the approximate end time of text stream event 11:62:2.
Now again, the text stream data has a limit on the amount of time available?
Can you rephrase your question?
Sure.
So I understand.
You said a window is captured during a triggering event?
Sure, yes. So there is a window that's captured during the triggering event.
And what is that window? How much time?
Sure. So from the text stream trigger, there's 5 seconds before and 5 seconds after.
Can an event be longer than that 10-second window?
Yes, it can.
And in this case, do you know at the end of this reconciled event at 12:32:12, do you know from your study what direction the defendant's car was traveling at 12:32:12?
It would have been traveling in reverse.
And at 12:32:12, do you know how fast the defendant's Lexus was traveling at 12:32:12?
I do not recall.
Mr. O'Keefe's last user interaction with his phone at 12:32:09, where does that fall within the 10-second window that was captured by the text stream data?
Sure, so that falls within that 8-second window. So again, the text stream event ends somewhere between 12:32:04 and 12:32:12. But that does not represent that the backing maneuver has ended. Just the recorded data has ended.
And in your review, do you have, around this time, any other movement of Mr. O'Keefe's phone after 12:32:16?
I did not look at that specifically. It was my understanding that Mr. Whiffen looked at that.
To a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, did both these events, the last user interaction and the window captured on the reconciled data for the text stream, happen around the same time?
Yes, they did.
Didn't get the speed. Doesn't know if
I have no further questions.
John's phone moved after the incident.
I can approach later or now.
So we can approach again.
All right, so apparently there was a standing, as soon as you're done, we need to talk order from the judge. And he just said, okay, now I'm done. Just checking out the desk there. Looks like today's defense team is powered by Fiji water. There were Tic Tacs on the table. There might still be there. I think they're next to Mr. Yanetti's computer. Alan Jackson skipping this sidebar. He's like, I've had enough. I've had enough sidebars for now. Let's talk over some details really quickly. A few Post-it notes. I see a Surface Pro. Not seeing much Mac there. A nice, is that a pink mouse? Is that a pink wireless mouse? Big box of Tic Tacs. They're playing Picture Hangman, but no. Probably not. Rose gold moose. The moose is rose gold. They call it rose gold. It's pink, okay? Pink. Rose gold is just a way they can charge you more for the same color. It's pink. Can you imagine if the entire testimony gets stricken? Okay, that would be a very extreme measure. And if the judge was inclined to do that, I think she would have made that decision before now. I don't think she would have first let the jurors hear everything and then strike it. That's terrible, terrible, terrible judicial practice, I think, if you're to do that, knowing that you can't really ever unring a bell. But we'll see. Charge more for the same thing? You mean like gold-plated cables? No, Greeners. Gold-plated cables, that has to do with... We know what a good conductor gold is, right? It's all about the conductivity. Gold, I would rather take gold than silver. Much preferred over aluminum. Any other conductive material. Maybe a salmon mouse. Could be. Karen has the right to be up there at the sidebar and has chosen not to be there. Instead, staying for what I believe is the first time during this trial that she stayed at the defense table during a sidebar. She has left the room previously during a sidebar, but this is the first time I've seen her stay at the defense table. I have a rose gold thermometer. Family's awfully quiet over there. Not many people talking to each other. You're surprised that the Brennan left it after asking the question, how fast was the car going in reverse? And he said, I don't know why he didn't refresh his recollection with the report. I have a rose gold bidet. Thank you, Josh. Good to know. I think one of the perceived benefits of gold-plated is that gold doesn't oxidize. Correct. You guys don't understand this. I got called out. I went metal detecting, and I found a gold coin, a $5 New Orleans gold coin from like 1834 or something like that, 1835. I can't remember what year. Beautiful coin. I dug it up. That thing looked like it had just come off the showroom floor. It was brilliant. It was just, the luster there was no tarnish whatsoever. Gold does not tarnish. People said, that's fake. It wouldn't look like that if you dug it up like that. It's real. It's real. Gold looks like that. Every gold piece
Your
I
Honor, I
found.
move into evidence the following pages from Mr. Burgess's PowerPoint presentation. Move into evidence page 41. I move into evidence page 40. And I move into evidence page 43.
And their mistakes. It's very easy to get addicted when you're finding gold. I have found a few gold rings. That's my only gold coin. Gold necklaces, gold earrings.
I have no further questions.
Right. Once we get these marked, I can...
Mr. Alessi says, please, ma'am. Your Honor, may I? And she's given him the yes, yes, please sign. You pan for gold? I have. The only problem is panning for gold, you're looking for much smaller pieces. It's much more fun to find big chunks.
All right. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Alessi.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Whenever you're ready. Now on Recross, Mr. Alessi gets a final shot.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess, between the time you left the witness stand yesterday
LinkedIn
until this moment, have you talked to anyone about this case?
No, sir, I have not.
Did you delete your LinkedIn
Has
profile?
a filing ever been made in any court in which your educational background has been misrepresented?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Pardon me?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, how about this one?
Did I understand that you're based out of the Aperture office in Texas?
Yes, I am.
And are you aware of a case in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Texas, Marshall Division, titled Jeffrey Glover and Teresa Glover versus Graphic Packaging International, LLC? Are you familiar with that case?
Yes, I am.
And is it correct that in that case, well, tell me how you are participating in that case, sir.
So I'm no longer participating in that case. So if I believe correctly, that would have been a accident reconstruction case from, I don't recall, a year or two ago.
And so it was a case that you did participate in, correct?
Yes, I did.
And what was your role in that case?
Sure. So my role in that case was an accident reconstructionist.
Expert witness.
And did you provide any testimony, deposition, or otherwise in that case?
No, I did not.
Did you, in that particular case, there were, like all cases, filings made, correct?
I'm sure there were, yes.
Probably settled. A lot of these cases settle, don't go to court. But they settle based on the evidence and the strength of the case on each side. And the risk. The risk of going to trial, having a jury decide against you.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I would like to have a document marked as the next exhibit for identification.
Okay.
Please.
Exhibit EEE for ID.
This look from Mr. Alessi is Somebody described this as a cat playing with its
May I
toy,
present the
with a
witness, Your
mouse,
Honor?
before
Thank
it
you.
eats it.
Mr. Burgess, I am showing you a document which has been marked as Exhibit EEE for identification, and I'd ask that you take a look at it, sir. Your Honor, may I remain here?
Sure.
Thank
Feel free to read it.
Back a little bit.
Exactly, yes. Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, this document is marked E because, oh yeah, that's the sound we make when we see it. Like I said, Mr. Lessie does not make a habit out of chasing ghosts. He must have something here.
Mr. Burgess, with regard to Exhibit EEE, do you recognize the second page, and do you recognize any stamping at the top of each of those pages?
Yes, I do.
And can you describe what that stamping is?
Sure. So that is stamping for a file date of 8/7/2023.
And is that a stamping of a federal court?
That I'm not sure.
If I were to show you a document, might a document refresh your recollection as to whether
Sure.
Exhibit EEE is a filing in a federal court?
Yes.
May I, Your Honor?
Sure.
I am showing you.
Did you show those to Mr. Brennan?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Brennan's like, I don't want to see it.
I believe I did, but I want to make sure.
And just let me know if we need to mark.
We will, Your Honor. Thank you. Can I mark each of these for identification? There.
Yep.
Let me just give one first. See if I could see that back in court report. I want to see if this is the second page for that document. It is, so it can be marked as one document for identification.
Look at FFF right here. Thank you.
FFF.
Yes.
It's like someone's report card. Not saying
Sir,
whose.
I am showing you what has been marked as Exhibit FFF for identification and ask whether or not this document can refresh your recollection as to whether the court filing that you reviewed in Exhibit EEE is indeed a federal court.
Yes, it is.
Can we get some F's in chat for the career?
That document refreshes your recollection that what has been filed as represented in EEE is a filing in a federal court. Correct, sir?
Correct.
Now, what I'd like to do is to draw your attention to the second page of this exhibit. Is that a curriculum vitae of you and a picture of you?
Yes, it is.
And sir, under education...
Objection.
I would...
The objections stay.
Right. Do you
want to bring it over? We can take
I
it
will,
there.
Your Honor. I
Come
will.
over to my
Sir,
place,
feel
maybe.
free to stand up and stretch.
Bring your solo cups. Come on over. We'll just chat over sidebar. Ask it better, Alessi. Ask it better. That was a big smile. She's best friends with Alessi right now. We're besties, best buds. What Mr. Alessi is pursuing right here is the setup to the gotcha moment, relating back to the question where he asked, "Have you ever, in any court, been presented, as having a degree when you didn't?" That sort of question. I forget exactly the wording he had, but have you ever been in court and been like, yeah, I got a bachelor's? And has any filing ever been made representing that? Nope, not to my knowledge. Well, we're going to fix his knowledge because he's going to remember, because Alessi did the research, went back to his home state of Texas, not Alessi's, but Mr. Burgess's, and has pulled the receipts and has them in 4K. So, Amber says, look at mod chat. I'm looking at mod chat. Let's see. Oh. Emergency response and reaction to response to the buffer zone issue. It's all about the buffer zone. How many calls do you think Aperture got yesterday? Ivan, I wasn't going to call out attention to it, but apparently each professional has their own phone number listed on the Aperture page. Like you go to different people and it has a different phone number for each person. I don't know if there's like one office for each. I only looked at a handful of them, but they all appeared to be different. And I imagine somebody's voicemail's full. That's all I'm saying. Someone's voicemail's full. Probably with requests for interviews and things like that. Is this all new info? Why didn't Hank already cover this? Miss Justice Jones, I believe the educational aspect of this witness is new. It's got to be new. I don't know how Mr. Brennan can escape presenting, because I think this is the follow-up, right? Yesterday, we thought, oh my goodness, it can't get any worse than this. I'm so embarrassed for this guy. And then it just kept getting worse and worse. And I think that this is not the final gotcha that Mr. Alessi has here. We're starting with some case over in Texas, right? And we're going to, if we can get through this with the judge obviously allowing it, or that's contingent on that, if we can get through that, we can then wrap it back around and say, but it's not just in Texas, right? Even here in Massachusetts, in this county, you've done the same thing, right? As a matter of fact, in this very trial, there is documentation filed that says you have a bachelor's degree signed by this prosecutor, Mr. Brennan, right here. Okay, I think he's going to try to wrap it around that way, and get to the buildup. Because we, in fact, do have documents in this trial filed where it listed as an appendix, Mr. Burgess, there's his bachelor and the date he got it. So, anyway, why would the judge not allow it? John, reasons why she wouldn't? Relevancy, it's a bit of a stretch. Let's see if he's allowed to go into it. Looks like he still has the papers and he's walking back up. So
Thank you.
Looks like it is okay.
Mr. Burgess, I'm going to have to get a little close in proximity. Sure. Bear with me, please. What I would like to do, sir, is to put before you again Exhibit FF for identification and Exhibit EE for identification. And what I would like to do is to ask you some questions, sir, with regard to the process in the case. Okay. Are you aware, or do you recall in this litigation that, as typical in litigation, including federal courts, that as part of the litigation process, the parties have to designate their expert witnesses? Are you aware generally of that process?
Generally, yes.
Yes. And have you participated in the documents that need to be prepared for an attorney or a party to prepare documents and submit them to a court to establish the designation of expert witnesses?
No, I have not.
And so you have never participated or never been aware of a process like this?
No, I'm aware of a process, and that process goes through other staff members.
Okay, so it goes through other staff members where?
At Aperture.
Right.
Correct.
Are you aware that that process is occurring, even though it may be done by other staff at Aperture?
Yes, I am.
And in this instance, you were aware in this litigation that staff at Aperture needed to submit documents in support of an expert witness designation, correct? Even though you may not have done it yourself, you were aware that some person or persons at Aperture were performing that process, correct?
Correct.
And they were performing that process so that you could be designated as an expert witness in that case, correct?
Correct.
And so you were aware of the process, you were aware they had to submit documents that would establish your qualifications as an expert in the case so that you could be designated as an expert witness, correct?
Correct.
And now specifically with regard to Exhibit EEE for identification with these court filings, etc., even though you may not have done it yourself, were you aware that this document, which is EEE, was submitted as part of the expert designation process we were talking about?
Not this specific document, no.
Were you aware that a CV was needed to be submitted on your behalf as part of the designation process?
Yes.
So you were aware a CV had to be submitted, but you're saying you don't recall this specific one being submitted?
Correct.
Does the timestamp up at the top of each page of Exhibit EEE, including this page that is your CV, match the timestamp, or is it different from the timestamp at the top of Exhibit FFF?
No, that is the same.
So it's exactly the same?
Yes.
And have you been involved in processes in courts where your qualifications, including your CV, have had to be submitted to courts to establish a designation as an expert witness?
Yes.
And can you conclude from these documents, including the timestamps, that the submission that was made to the court to establish your status as an expert witness consisted of Exhibits FFF and EEE?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I
There it
move
is.
EEE and FFF into evidence.
Yeah.
You need one more step, Mr.
And, sir, do EEE and FFF fairly and accurately represent the submission of documents in support of a designation of expert witness in this case?
Yes, as far as I can tell.
Your Honor, I offer these two into evidence.
I'm going to allow it over here.
Can I briefly?
Yes, come on up. Bring those, please, Mr.
Yes, Your Honor.
They're allowed in. Mr. Brennan wants to argue this. He runs right up there to try to head this off because this is terrible. This is terrible. You know what this does? This means that he can do the exact same thing with this current case. This is the setup on this is brilliant, and I realize I'm not fanboying over one side or the other. Brennan has had his moments of brilliance in this case as well. Right now, Alessi is shining, and his witness. I'll call it an experience because I think that's what it is. It's not that he's not smart. It's just that he's not experienced in this level of litigation, this level of the game being played. He is trying to, I think, protect himself. He's thrown his company under the bus a couple times, which I'm not sure if they're going to be big fans of because they're all about, trust and things like that. Hang on, somebody's here. I think it's Mrs. R.A. So the lady's here anyway. I don't know. Anyway, so he's got this all set up. He doesn't, this inexperience, he doesn't know how to deflect these answers. And Mr. Alessi, even though he hit a speed bump, was saying, "Do you recognize these were submitted?" He's like, "No, I don't." That could have been a speed bump. Mr. Alessi goes around about, and were you aware that documents had to be submitted? You're aware that that's the regular process? Yes, they were. Can you vouch that these are the same? And he gets him to say, yes, these are authentic. He gets them to authenticate the documents, and now they can come in. And now the judge says, I'm going to allow it over your objection. Mr. Brennan has a slight chance that she could reverse her decision right now before they actually go in. They haven't been marked yet. But this is next level lawyering by Mr. Alessi, getting this in and laying the foundation. And it's just the setup. Yeah, it's bad, but I honestly, I feel this is just the setup. It's going to get worse. Let's see. Dog lover, if you were the family at this point, what would you think? They look disappointed and deflated. I think they have the right to be disappointed. I think a lot of people were let down by some aspects of this investigation and some aspects of this prosecution. And honestly, by some aspects of the defense. I feel for them. They're the innocent victims here, I think, on the family side.
May I reapproach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to have to stand here again, Mr.
Sure.
Burgess. So what I would like to do, Your Honor, at this time is to offer into evidence Exhibit E, and Exhibit F for identification.
As one exhibit?
As one exhibit.
All right, we'll do that. Have the court reporter.
And that would be yours.
Exhibit 193.
Brennan can smell exactly where this is headed, and he does not like it. That
May I
staple
hand it to you?
finalizes it. It's like a dagger through his soul.
Mr. Burgess, I am handing you what is now in evidence as Exhibit 193. I would like to draw your attention to the fourth page, which is your CV, and further, if I could, sir, draw your attention to the category of education, where it says BGS. Is it correct that there you state Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama - Birmingham, Alabama, comma, 2024. Did I read that correctly?
You did read that correctly.
A new date.
And this was filed in 2023.
Understood. So now what I'd like to do, Your Honor, is to... May I keep this for a moment, Your Honor? Give it to the witness as needed. Thank you. With Your Honor's permission, I would like to publish a document that is already in evidence.
Okay.
Actually, there may be two, 183 and 184. Let's start with 183. Let's expand it. And then, Mr. Wolf, do we have what has just been to publish as well? So what I'd like to do is to publish first, with the court's permission, Exhibit 193 that we were just talking about, so the jury can see what has been the subject of discussion. And sir, if you, Mr. Wolk, if you could just enlarge, all we need is the education section. Now, Mr. Burgess, as I heard it correctly in questions from Mr. Brennan, you answered the question that whether you had ever filed a document that misstated your educational background in a court. Do you recall that question asked of you?
Yes, I did.
And your answer was no, correct, sir?
Correct.
So let's look at this document, which we've just gone through, was filed in federal court in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Texas, Marshall Division, which is a federal court. And attached to it is your CV, and in the line of education, it lists under BGS, Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, 2024. You see that, sir?
I do, yes.
Now, you stated, and now what I'd like to do is do a, is there any qualification whatsoever in that line, that reference to BGS, qualifications at all, explanations, sir? Is there anything?
I don't know what you mean.
It's just a statement, right? There's words there. There's nothing after it that explains what's intended, correct?
Correct.
Now what I'd like to do, Your Honor, is to go to what was filed in this case, which is in evidence, and we'll go to 183 and then 184.
What was filed in this case? Here we go.
Now, in what has been filed in this case, there is a currently pursuing at the end after University of Alabama - Birmingham, Alabama, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Let's go back, please, to Exhibit 193. There is no currently pursuing there, is there, sir?
There is not, but that was filed in 2023, so that would be an expected graduation date of 2024.
Okay, so this document was filed in 2023. However, there's nothing in this document that in any way leads the reader to believe anything other than the degree is obtained on 2024, correct?
Correct.
So the only way somebody in the court system or a judge or a jury would know anything about this is to have to know about court filing dates, correct? I'll ask it another way, Mr. Burgess. You know how to write. Let's go back to 183 and 184. You know how to write currently pursuing on your CV, correct?
Correct.
And writing currently pursuing lets the reader know that you don't have that degree, correct?
Objection.
In that form, sustained.
You intend by writing currently pursuing, don't you, sir, that anybody reads this to know that you do not have a bachelor degree, correct?
Correct.
Now let's go back to what you filed in what was filed in federal court in that case. And it does not have the words currently pursuing, correct?
It does not.
So the reader, so it doesn't have that verbiage, correct?
Correct.
So isn't it the correct answer that you did file a document, your CV, in this federal court case that misstates the status of a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Business Administration?
Objection.
Sustained.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
I want to know what his class schedule was.
You stated again, sir, that you have
Currently
not
pursuing might have been a lie as well.
filed a document that misstates your educational background, correct?
Correct.
And the last time I'll cover it, you know how to put currently pursuing on anything to do with a Bachelor of Science, correct?
Correct.
A Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration does not exist as an offered degree at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, does it?
Sure, so that is an error. Clearly, BGS stands for Bachelors of General Studies, and that should have a with minor in Mathematics and Business Administration.
What is clear from that document that BGS stands for a Bachelor of General Studies? What is clear in that document about the definition of that acronym?
That is a known acronym.
Let's go back to Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration. That degree does not exist. It is not offered at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, correct?
No, that is not.
So therefore, an incorrect statement about your educational background was filed in a federal court in Texas, correct?
Yes, it was.
That's it, Mr. Alessi?
That's it.
Okay. Is there anything?
There is.
Okay.
Brennan is mad. Listen to his voice here. Listen.
The document that the attorney just showed you, did you submit that to the federal court?
No, I did not.
Did you ever see that document before it was filed?
No, I did not.
The document says 2024 for a degree, is there a presumption whether you had it or expected it if that document was filed in 2023?
Yes, there is.
And what is the presumption if it was filed in 2023?
Objection, Your Honor, expected.
So presumption,
Well.
we'll strike that.
Okay. He asked if there was any designation to make it clear. If it says 2020, if it was filed in 2023, and it says 2024, what was your expectation at that time as far as your degree?
That I would complete my degree in 2024.
When you didn't complete your degree in 2024 as you expected, did you then change your CV?
Yes, I did.
To accurately reflect the change in your status?
Yes, I did.
And what did you change it to?
Currently pursuing.
Why didn't you finish your degree in 2024?
Sure. So,
No, I'm going to allow it.
as most people can probably relate, work, family, and life many times get in the way. So as a personal objective, I would like to finish my bachelor's, but again, work and life gets in the way.
Did you ever represent to a court that you had a degree that you didn't earn?
No, I have not.
He asked you a number of questions about this 2023 filing, but didn't ask you any questions about the data. Does your opinion regarding the data change in any way in light of his questions about a 2023 filing that you didn't file and someone filed on your behalf?
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection is sustained. I'm going to strike that question.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, Mr. Burgess, you are all set.
Thank you.
Well, Leslie didn't go for the in this very hearing, in this very court. Have documents been filed by the prosecutor alleging that you have a degree? You might have fought this over on sidebar already.
Mr. Brennan?
I'd like to play a number of clips. If I could begin with clip 23.
So we approach from the north. We actually missed the turn. And John says to me, it's Fairview, we just passed it. It's back there. It's on my left. I said, all right. So I pull nose into a driveway and back out onto the street, which I now own as Cedar Crest, and then come from the north onto Fairview.
Like the next play, clip 25.
At 12:41, I leave a voicemail to John where you can clearly, and this will probably be played on Monday, you can clearly hear me pull into John's garage. You can hear my car sensors beeping as I come close to the sides of the garage truck. And then you hear the car go off, and then you hear the slight ding, ding, ding as I open the door, shut the door. I had high heels on that night. You hear me walk in, go into the stairs up into the kitchen, shut the door. You hear me walk in the kitchen. It's like a full minute long. That's at 12:41.
And finally, clip 24.
I do. I mean, I'll tell you, John and I argued the morning of the 28th, Friday morning. So we think he died right around 12:25, 12:30 on the early morning of January 29th.
Thank you. I have these for submission into evidence, Your Honor.
194. The next witness, Mr. Allen?
Yes, Your Honor. Call Miss Christina Hanley to the stand.
Mr. Lally back up again. Gives Brennan the nod. I've got this. I got this. Watch your boy Lally.
You solemnly swear the evidence given before the jury in the case now and hearing to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Good afternoon. All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury, spelling your last name for the court?
Sure. I'm Christina Hanley. Hanley is Hanley.
And Ms. Hanley, what do you do for work?
I am a forensic scientist 3 at the Massachusetts State Police Crime Laboratory in the Trace Arson and Explosives Unit.
And where did you go to school?
I went to, I had received my Bachelor of Science in Chemistry with a concentration in Forensics from Merrimack College.
That easy. It's that
And
easy.
do you have any other degrees?
I do not.
Now, following your education, where did you first go to work?
I began working at the State Police Crime Lab in 2008 in the Drug Identification Unit. And in 2009, I transferred into the Trace Unit. And in 2017, I was promoted from a Forensic Scientist 2 to a Forensic Scientist 3 in the Trace Arson and Explosives Unit.
Could I ask you please to speak up, please?
She's plenty loud.
Ms. Hanley, if it helps, that microphone is adjustable, so if you could get it as close to you as possible, that would be great. Thank you. The
I'm gonna have to turn it down.
Massachusetts State Police Crime Laboratory where you work, is that accredited?
Yes, it is.
And by whom?
We are accredited by ANAB.
And what does ANAB stand for?
ANAB stands for ANSI National Accreditation Board.
What does ANSI
And
stand
what
for?
does ANSI stand for?
Nobody knows.
Sorry, I can't remember exactly what ANSI stands for. I apologize.
That's okay. As part of that accreditation process, do you undergo any sort of proficiency testing?
Yes, I do.
And can you explain to the jury what that proficiency testing process consists of?
Sure. So proficiency tests are a quality assurance measure that's used to monitor performance. And I'm required to complete at least one external proficiency test per year, where I'm authorized to do casework in multiple subdisciplines. In my unit, I typically complete more than one proficiency test per year.
And what areas do you specifically undergo proficiency testing in?
Sure. So I'm authorized to do casework in multiple subdisciplines in Trace. So I complete proficiency tests in the subdisciplines of hairs, paint, fibers, glass, tape, and serial number restorations and physical match examinations.
And generally speaking, what is entailed in those proficiency testing that you're given multiple times a year?
It's provided by an external company that provides the proficiency test, and I'm required to successfully complete one of those proficiency tests per year.
Now, have you successfully completed each of those proficiency tests that you've taken?
Yes, I have.
Now, what type of training or continuing education have you undergone at the State Police Crime Laboratory?
Sure. So I had internal training as well as external training. The internal training consisted of I had to complete required readings. I was required to complete some laboratory exercises, learn how to utilize the instrumentation in the lab. I observed other analysts in the unit working on casework. I was also required to complete a written exam as well as a competency test, and in addition to that, a mock trial.
Now, you mentioned earlier in the testimony you're a forensic scientist 3 currently, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what is the difference, or can you explain the difference to the jury between a forensic scientist 2 versus a forensic scientist 3?
Sure. So forensic scientist 2 is essentially just like a bench chemist who their primary role or responsibility is casework. A forensic scientist 3 does casework, but in addition is also a unit supervisor.
Now, what does the trace unit do or examine within the Massachusetts State Police crime lab?
Sure. So I'm responsible for examining and comparing trace items that, for example, such as paint, glass, fibers, hairs, tape, miscellaneous items. I also perform serial number restorations on firearms and physical match examinations.
And what are your general duties and responsibilities within the trace unit within the lab?
So I am responsible for the general operation of the unit. I train other forensic scientists within the unit. I also complete technical and administrative reviews of casework. And I also complete my own casework in the trace disciplines that I previously mentioned.
Now, Ms. Hanley, you as a supervisor, you review other analysts' work within the trace unit, correct?
Yes, I do.
And who reviews your work for any sort of trace analysis that you do?
So depending on what the subdiscipline, some of the casework that I'm authorized to do work in, it needs to be technically reviewed by an external technical reviewer because I'm the only one within my unit that can do certain types of casework currently. So we have to utilize an external technical reviewer at this time.
Now, with reference to physical match analysis, can you explain to the jury first, just in general terms, how is that analysis performed?
Sure. So when I receive an item, I take that item into my custody, and I document it with photographs, and I make observations and take notes. And then I'll examine the items microscopically, and I will do any comparison work to determine if there is or is not a physical match between items.
Now, that physical match analysis within the trace unit at the state lab, is that general work supported by any sort of scientific principle or methodology that you're aware of?
Yes.
Is she distracted?
Let me ask you this. Are you familiar with something called the Lockhart exchange principle?
Yes. So the Lockhart exchange principle, it's kind of the foundation or basis of trace analysis. It is a principle that states that when two objects or two items come into contact with each other, there is an exchange of material.
Now, with reference to your workspace, what is it that you do to your bench between your examination of separately packaged items?
Sure. So The benchtop as well as the tools that I'm going to use are all cleaned with a bleach solution. And once that's done, there's a clean piece of butcher paper that's put down on the bench, and that's done in between looking at different items.
And why is it that you do that in between looking at different items?
That's done to prevent any cross-contamination.
Now, you've alluded a little bit earlier in your testimony, but on what types of evidence can you perform a physical match analysis?
Sure. So physical match examination can be conducted with many different types of material. For example, plastics, glass, tape, etc.
Now, when evidence is submitted to your lab, how is it kept track of throughout its stay at the lab?
Sure. So when evidence is submitted to the laboratory, the case information is put into our LIMS system, which stands for Laboratory Information Management System.
And once it's assigned that number, how is it sort of tracked as it progresses through the different units within the lab?
Sure. So the unique case number that's assigned to the case is tracked within the system. It's referred to as the chain of custody. So items of evidence will get scanned depending on where their location is, and the LIMS system keeps track of all of that, so we know exactly where an item is.
She's doing a good
job. So when you take an item or you receive an item to be tested, can you explain to the jury what you do to begin your analysis?
Talking to the jury.
Sure. So when an item gets scanned into my custody, after I've prepped my area to examine the item, I scan that item into my custody, and I will document that item with photographs. I will make notes of my observations. I will examine the item microscopically. If needed, I'll proceed with sampling and possibly additional microscopic examination and instrumental analysis.
Now, specifically starting with items of glass, when you take an item of glass to conduct a comparative analysis, generally speaking, what is the process for conducting such an examination of glass? So it would be the same process that I just mentioned.
I would take that item, take photos, make any observations. I would proceed with, first I would check to see if there's any physical match comparisons, and then if needed, I would take any samples to examine it microscopically and or instrumentally.
And that general process that you've just described is the items that you tested in reference to this case or analyzed in reference to this case. Is that the process that you followed in this case?
Yes.
Now, what kind of instruments do you use, starting off with items of glass, what kind of instruments do you use to conduct that analysis?
Sure. So I'll use a stereo zoom microscope to initially examine it microscopically. If I take samples to do additional microscopic examination, I'll examine it under a polarized light microscope. And then if I need to take samples to do instrumental analysis, that would be using our, it's referred to as a GRIM, which stands for Glass Refractive Index Measurement. It's an instrument that measures the refractive index of glass.
And if you could, please explain to the jury, what is a refractive index?
Sure. A refractive index is a measure of how light bends when it passes from one medium to another.
And how are you viewing that utilizing the GRIM device when it comes to glass?
So a sample is prepped on a slide, and it is placed on a hot stage of the microscope of the instrument, and the oil that the sample is in it goes through a cooling and a heating phase, and as it's going through a cooling and a heating phase, it passes through what we refer to as a match point. So you can make that observation as the sample is running, and then when the sample is done running, it takes an average and it calculates the refractive index of the sample through the calibration data of the instrument.
And what is an FTIR?
So an FTIR is a Fourier transform infrared spectrometer, and it is an analytical tool that we use to analyze certain types of samples. Essentially, a sample is exposed to infrared light, and your sample reacts in a certain way to it, and it produces a spectrum or a graph of peaks and valleys, and it is representative of your sample.
And how is that FTIR instrument, how is that used in this type of physical match analysis?
So actually the FTIR was not used for physical match examination.
Now, you mentioned it a little bit earlier in your testimony. What is a polarized light microscope?
So a polarized light microscope it's a microscope that just has a couple of filters in it that we use to look at samples at a higher magnification and make observations of certain optical properties of samples.
And how are you utilizing that instrument in your analysis in the lab?
So it's used to examine various different types of samples, paint, fiber. We can also look at glass.
Now, do you document your work as you perform your analysis in the lab?
Yes, I do.
Now, Ms. Hanley, at some point were you assigned to perform some work on a lab case number 22-02184 pertaining to this defendant, Karen Reed?
Yes, I was.
And what type of work were you assigned to do in this case?
So I was given items for physical match comparison of some glass items, as well as some instrumental analysis of the glass. And I was also given items for some items of plastic for comparison.
Now, starting with glass pieces, do you recall what item numbers you analyzed pertaining to the glass pieces?
Yes. So I examined items 3-2, which was a clear glass cup with broken irregular edges. I was also given item 3-3, which was 5 pieces of clear glass with broken irregular edges from the bumper of the vehicle. And then I was also given item 7-12, which were clear and glass pieces recovered from the road. And I was given also 7-14, which was a clear piece of glass recovered from the road.
And now if we could, Ms. Hanley, just break those down sort of one by one. So starting with item 3-2, what was provided to you in reference to a description of what that item was?
Sure. So item 3-2 was a clear glass cup with broken irregular edges, and there was dirt debris on the exterior and interior of the cup.
Now, did you measure that item?
I did.
And what measurements did you obtain from that item, the drinking glass?
I just would need to refer to my report for measurements.
Okay, you can do that. You have your report right there. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge trying to speed this up a little bit. Gives the green light to access a report
so
as
the
needed.
Diameter of the bottom of the glass cup was 2 3/4 inches, and it measured approximately 2.5 inches in height.
You mentioned that there was debris on both the interior and exterior of the drinking glass. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, turning your attention to item 3-3, what was provided to you as a description of item 3-3?
Sure. So item 3-3 consisted of 5 pieces of clear glass, all with broken irregular edges.
And was there anything provided in the description of where those 5 pieces of broken glass were located?
Yes, they were recovered from the bumper of a vehicle.
And was there any identifying information provided to you as far as in reference to that vehicle?
The only other description of the item is the license plate of the vehicle.
What was the license plate that was provided?
So it was MA3GC684.
And did you measure each of those respective items?
Yes, I did.
Now, as far as before we get to the measurements, Ms. Hanley, when it comes to a lab item number, say 3-3, that has multiple pieces to it, how are each of those individual pieces then subsequently labeled?
So sometimes we'll subsequently label them with a lettering system.
And as far as these particular pieces contained within item 3-3, the pieces of glass from the bumper of the defendant's vehicle, how are they labeled?
So these were labeled A through E.
And with reference to the measurements, what measurements did you obtain from the pieces within item 3-3?
Sure. So I measured the largest and the smallest, and the largest measured approximately 7/8 of an inch by 5/16 of an inch, and the smallest measured approximately 3/16 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch.
Now, with reference to the drinking glass, you examined that microscopically, is that correct?
I did, yes.
And with reference to these items from item 3-3 from the bumper, you examined those microscopically as well, is that correct?
Correct.
And was there a particular piece from the pieces from the bumper that you did any additional examination of?
Yes, I did.
And what instruments did you use in which piece?
Sure. So there was one piece, I sampled a piece E that I had labeled as piece E, and I took a sample for examination under the polarized light microscope and a sample to analyze it instrumentally on the GREM instrument.
Now, turning your attention to item 7-12, what was provided to you as a description for item 7-12?
Sure. So item 7-12, that consisted of 5 pieces of clear apparent plastic and 9 pieces of clear apparent glass with all with broken irregular edges.
Now, the 9 apparent pieces, well, let me ask you this first. As far as the description that you were provided, was there any description as far as where those items were recovered from?
Yes. Those items were recovered from 34 Fairview Road.
And is it your understanding they were recovered from the street or the roadway outside of that residence?
It just says recovered from 34 Fairview Road.
Now, as far as the 9 pieces of clear apparent glass from item 7-12, were those similarly sub-labeled as the previous item 3-3?
Yes, I received those labeled with the lettering system. They were labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, I, K, and L.
And with reference to those 9 pieces of glass, did you examine those microscopically as well?
I did, yes.
Now, turning your attention to item 7-14, what were you provided with as far as a description of that item 7-14?
So this item consisted of 1 piece of clear glass with broken irregular edges.
And similarly, was there any description provided as to where that item was recovered from?
Yes, it was recovered from 34 Fairview Road as well.
And again, how many pieces were contained within that item, 7-14?
7-14 was just one piece of glass.
And did you measure that item as well?
That item, I do not have the measurement of. It was examined by a previous analyst within the unit, so that measurement was taken at that time.
And that other analyst would be Mix Valier, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as your examination of that item, 7-14, what type of instruments did you use to examine 7-14?
So I sampled 7-14 to examine it under the polarized light microscope, as well as to analyze it instrumentally using the GRIM instrument.
Are you familiar with a term called a class characteristic?
Yes.
Can you explain to the jury what that is?
Sure. So a class characteristic is when a material can be associated with a group of items that share characteristics.
And what is an individual characteristic?
An individual characteristic is when a material can be related to a single source, such as a physical match.
And so what is the difference between a class characteristic versus an individual characteristic?
So class characteristic is that it can be associated with a group of items that share characteristics, versus the individual characteristic. It's more individualizing. It can be related to a single source, just in the case of like a physical match.
And what is a physical match?
So a physical match is if an item is broken and those pieces are compared to each other, and their broken irregular edges fit back together, and they have a jigsaw fit, that would be considered a physical match.
Now, can you please explain to the jury the steps and the process that you undertook in your comparative analysis of items, specifically of glass, in this case?
Sure. So I first did a comparison of all of the glass pieces and the glass cup that were recovered from the road. So those were items 3-2, 7-12, and 7-14. So I examined all of those to determine if there was a physical match between any of those items first. There were, I believe, 6 pieces of glass from item 7-12 that fit mechanically to the cup that was also recovered from the road, item 3-2. After I completed that examination, I then did a comparison to see if there was a physical match to some of the 2 of the glass pieces from the bumper, and there were 5 total from the bumper. 2 of them I used for physical match comparison, and there was no physical match comparison between those 2 pieces from the bumper, item 3-3, compared to the glass pieces and the cup that were recovered from the road. And then I sampled, as I had mentioned earlier, one of the pieces from the bumper to do further microscopic and analytical analysis on, and did a comparison with one of the pieces from the road.
Can I see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please?
Judge calls a sua sponte sidebar, which I believe under the rules of the judicial processes means drinks all around on the house when the judge calls it. So let's see. So she called it right after she said no match. And she's like, why are we wasting all this time if it didn't match? All the glass that we fought over on the bumper with, is this a reflection? Is this a backwards B, a forwards B? You know, did he collect 2 batches of evidence of glass or just 1? Didn't match. Didn't match the glass on the road. Didn't match the glass that was found near his body. There was glass on the bumper, but it didn't match. That's what we just got. It didn't match. So the judge. Let's see. The judge is like, can you get up here, Mr. Lally? I know it's been a while, but we're only presenting like relevant evidence, right? The imaging she's talking about is fascinating stuff if you're getting into the technical side of things. The FTIR and the SWIR, the shortwave infrared, you can basically bounce a signal off of an object and read its reflection mathematically. So you can read how it reflects differently, and just like we have our fingerprints on our hands that physically have a distinct look and are very unique to us. Items like glass, items like plants, can have a reflection that is, as far as the material it's made of and how that material reflects the different frequencies, can be very unique, like a fingerprint, and you can detect and sense that. So they're basically looking at the glass not to see does it looks like this fits. If we turn the puzzle piece, would it push up against there? We're not talking about that. We're talking about, is the chemical or the material makeup of the object that I'm looking at the same as this other object? What's it made of? Are they the same material or different materials? And she's saying it's not matching. It's not matching. I told you I don't write many papers. When I was in college, and I did go to college, and I did graduate with a bachelor's degree. When I was in college, one of the papers I wrote was a business idea I wanted to pursue that involved doing aerial, of course, using drones. And this is before drones were drones. So I was looking at remote control helicopters. Okay. Like full on. That's the noise they make. I was looking at a Leptron helicopter, which I think ran, I don't know, $20,000, flying the hyperspectral imagery system that would be able to look down and analyze. And particularly, this is because I just stumbled across a marijuana grow up in the mountains while I was hiking. I'm like, there's got to be a way to find this other than just like hiking around and being like, oh, here's one. I'm like, you've got to be able to look down and get the hyperspectral image and say, this is the reflection of purple kush, right here in the mountains. So we can see it from up high instead of just saying everything's green down there on a hyperspectral level. You can really differentiate between a dandelion and just another broadleaf weed. So fun stuff. I know a little bit about this. Coming in hot with the purple kush. Can we see your LinkedIn for confirmation? I just updated it yesterday, so it should be good.
So, jurors, it's been a long day.
It's been a hard day's night.
Ms. Hanley, I'm going to ask you to come back tomorrow, but a little bit later in the day, and the victim of this house can tell you the time. All right, so folks, we're going to end for today. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If
Don't
you
go on
happen
LinkedIn.
to see, hear, or read anything about the case, please disregard it and let us know, and watch your social media use. Thank you. So,
Especially LinkedIn.
All rise to the court, please. Please, no folks to follow me.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. We're going to give it just a second, see if there's something the judge would like to talk to the lawyers about once the jurors are out of the room. I wanted to also show you just a little bit of the judge moving the microphone into what I call the casserole position. Oh, here we go. We're coming back.
All right. You don't need me for anything, right? We're all set?
We're all set. You guys can just fight it out amongst yourselves, apparently. So nothing to worry about. Okay, so let's go back and look at this briefly. This is the judge. There's her microphone position, and then there's the casserole position where she moves it way off as far to the right as she can. So it's like, get that thing out of here. Get that thing out of here. Fun stuff. What a day. What a day in court. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. For some people, longer than others. Poor Mr. Burgess. I don't know. Maybe his company's like, yeah, we're good. We're cool with it. You know, it's all good. No worries. No harm, no foul. Maybe we'll let this blow over. In a couple days, we'll update the website. We'll move things around, have a new redesign, and during that, we'll fix it. But I don't know. That's so you can't count the size. 100%. 100%. So we can't count the size. All right. It won't be long. Yeah. That's like a Beatles song, right? Hard Day's Night. It's been a hard day's night. There's a quick copyright strike for you. He gone. Quicker than you can say CV. I do not like watching somebody get eviscerated like that, but at the same time, when you're an expert witness and it appears to be that you're lying to cover up something that you did to make yourself look better, I'm sorry. Guess what? Welcome to being an adult. Welcome to consequences. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Yeah, probably not during the. I think it would be very, very poor decision to fire him during the trial. That would be a disservice to their client, the Commonwealth, to fire him during the trial. But if he decides that mutually, to pursue another avenue of employment down the road, and they're like, oh, he's no longer with us, I would not be surprised if that were to occur after the trial. AWOL gets another date tomorrow with his witness. Mr. Lally is, we're just getting to the good stuff. And the part we just got was that it doesn't match. The glass doesn't match. The glass on the taillight, or at least 3 of the pieces on the taillight, because she had 5 pieces, right? 3 of the pieces on the taillight don't match the glass on the road or the glass that was found near John O'Keefe's body. So now we have potentially 3 different sources of glass involved. All right. Love it. I love having listening to 2 things at once. We are very close to the end of the state's case. I can see this ending Thursday, which is a half a day. It's a half a day. Thursday, half a day. Well, I'm going to be traveling for that, so I'm going to bring you all with me. We're going to live stream through the miracles of Starlink and LiveView. We're going to be bringing you all the best of what happens as we drive across the country. And I'm going to be wearing my Britney Spears headphones right here. As you can see, that's a fine wireless set of headphones with the retractable microphone. Let me show you that. Done some testing. I think I can get the audio working all right with that. And not have too much noise. It's got a mute in here, so if there is some road noise, I can unmute. It's like tap to talk sort of thing. Unmute when I need to say something, keep the noise down, and just pay attention to court while not introducing a little bit of wind noise. So that's coming on Thursday. Tomorrow I'm supposed to do a live stream with the city, which is great. I'll get to do that as well. Wait, how do we prove those are Britney Spears headphones and not regular headphones? When I put them on, I sing like her, Greeners. That's how we prove it. I can't, or I'd get a copyright strike. Otherwise, I would. Because it's just the uncanny resemblance in so many ways. Oh, baby, baby. Let's see. We'll have receipts. Megan, after years of listening to me talk about this case, my husband decided to attempt to watch season 2, and he chose you, Megan. Thank you very much for convincing your husband to join us. Welcome, Megan's husband. She's been a long time fan of the channel, a long time supporter, and we thank you. We thank you both for being here. Make a separate video then, non-monetized. I just wonder why Brennan is throwing so many people under the bus, unless, of course, it is to throw attention off Proctor. Well, you know how defense is supposed to introduce doubts? The prosecution is trying to deflect away from the things that they don't like owning in this case, and Proctor is one of them, and Mr. Burgess is the other so far. Amber, yes, he did get screen caps of everything. Then he chose a brand new metal detector. Hit me up. It sounds like, did he go with an XP? Or did he go with the, like the Deus 2? Or, I don't know, just let me know. I like the Equinox. They've got some newer ones out, but metal detectors are so much fun. What other hobby can legitimately turn into a get-rich scheme that works? I mean, metal detecting, it's there. It's amazing. I'd like to see R.A. dance to Britney. The problem is I do the in-sync dance to Britney with like the don't jump, spin, turn, and everything. Yeah. I'm going out to Utah. I'm headed out to Idaho, the end of July. Headed up to Bear Lake for a few days to hang out with my family up there. Never had a family reunion with my family like that. Like, this is the first time. And let's just admit it. I'm middle-aged, right? I'm middle-aged. I acknowledge this to y'all. I'm middle-aged, and we've never done a family reunion like this. And so the family got together and like booked a resort. I don't know how else to say it. When everyone sort of chips in, and you've got 10 family members that are all pretty much adults, established in life to some degree or another. And when you all chip in for a week, you can book a resort. And so we have like a compound that we're going on vacation on. So, all right, I will take you on that one as well. By the way, we're going to take the live view, and the Starlink for that one will be working. That's a working vacation as well. Where are you going to be? Bear Lake, the Idaho side. I'll get that picture of you fishing that you came in second. I will look for that. I might actually have it. All right. Any other questions about court for today? Angela, we are done for the day. We are going to wrap things up here. The judge has called it quits, and as such, we are a little bit of an early out, tiny bit of an early out. Anything else? A couple of people had questions. See, somebody was asking me how I highlight something like this in a comment. First of all, I use Chrome, and Chrome has a little pop-out for chat, so you can pop out chat into its own window, which I take full screen. And then in that window, since it's on a computer, I can just use my mouse, this little mouse right here, and just highlight what I want in there. And then, I mean, it looks like this, right? This is the full view. Let me turn this off so you don't see doubles. This is what chat looks like to me. You can see I can go up here to, I'll be down here in the corner. I can go down here to this one here and see some of the messages that I missed. So I can say, pantoufle. I have to go off like this. One second. There we go. And on there. A Pantoufle member for 24 months. You hit the 2-year mark. If you haven't seen reels of AJ cooking and perfectly plating food for a team, go find Lawyering His Second Talent. We need a head-to-head live with R.A. Does he wear a chef's hat while doing it? Pantoufle, thank you for your support. 2 years. Love it. Your pink courthouse looks great. Mo says, how are they doing 3-point turns at the time the Commonwealth says they arrived at 34 Fairview? And Jen texts him at 12:31 saying, pull behind me while looking at the car. Questions. Harry, me boy. Harry, me boy. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Ivan Victor comes in and says, anytime in trouble with the missus, I'm going to say, hold on, and then play a clip of Karen Reed interview. Try to deflect. But what about this? Pay no attention to the man behind the mirror. All right. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all. We're early out today, and I know that I think Karen Reed's talking outside the courtroom right now. But a little optimism there. Mel Stiller, welcome. Welcome. Good to have you here. Car pirouettes. I need to look in mod chat. I'm looking in mod chat. Oh, I've got my notifications turned off. Hang on. There's a cat issue in Thurston. Hang on. Whoa. Don't go anywhere. Josh has a cat issue in court, and we might... I'm hoping it's still there. Hold tight. Thurston County District Court Civil Protection Calendar. Thurston County District Court 3. Just 1 second. Thurston County District Court 3. And you said it was civil protection order. Civil protection order from a day ago. Timestamp, Josh, was 1 hour 6 minutes. Okay, we're going there, guys. We're good. We're going there. 1 hour 6 minutes. Okay, we have a palate cleanser apparently. Let's give this a go.
We'll see you in 8 days.
I have to hide.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good night.
Thank you.
I've got room again. They gone.
Ms. Meyer, can you come on the Zoom call, please? Ms. Adams, come on up and take a seat.
This was yesterday. Hello, Ms. Meyer. Welcome. She gives me a curt smile. I have no idea what this is, but it's a cat issue in court, and it happened yesterday. We need to be here for that.
So you folks live in the same complex there?
Yes, we live in the same, it's like a shared home almost. I guess you could say it's like a duplex almost.
And so, Ms. Myers, I'll start with you. Could you raise your, and again, I should say, as far as I know, no relation. She has the same last name as I do, but I'm not related to her, I don't think. And so you raise your right hand, ma'am. You swear and affirm the information testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
You can put your hand down.
Speak.
How is it you need an order against Ms. Adams?
So there has been so many instances where I have just felt like she's been coming to my window, yelling through my window, and I have just kind of been putting up with it. I wasn't sure what to do, so I called the cops because she had been yelling through my window one night, and I was ignoring her, and she's screaming and yelling about my cat. And my son was laying on the couch, and he started crying. So I noticed that it started to like affect him because he got scared. So then I called the cops, and
What is she yelling?
She's yelling, "You need to come get your cat. It's cold outside. They need to come inside." And yelling like, I'm going to call animal protective services or whatever. She seems to be super concerned about my animals, or she's calling my animals a lot. And I've told her to just leave them alone. This was in the middle of the night. So I called the cops. I just had
What do you
told
mean
them.
by the middle of the night? The middle of the night can be 6:30 at night to someone. Some other people,
Well, it was,
the middle of the night's 2 a.m.
It was dark. So, but it wasn't like 2 a.m. I want to say it was like 7 o'clock at night because my son was still up.
Okay, that's not the middle of the night. That's like,
so
it
when
just
I-
got
How many
dark.
animals do you have? You said my animals, and then I heard about a cat. You have more than
Yeah.
one animal?
I do. I have 3 cats.
Okay, continue on. Sorry.
That's okay. So I contacted the police and I told them that this has been something that I just like, I'm not sure what to do. She's yelling through my window. She's scaring my son. And it's gotten to the point where I feel like I can't like open my blinds. I have to cover windows. She doesn't really listen when it comes to me just saying like to leave me alone. At first I told them, I was like, I don't have like any proof. I'm like, this has all been like verbal. And they're actually the ones that like told me to get an anti-harassment protection order. Cause they're like, if she's just saying these things and you get that protection order, then that means that when you call, then we can actually do something. But every time that it would happen, I would call just to like put it on record. I don't have a record of the police, of me calling the police, because I tried to get like a online and I submitted to get records, and then it said it took 5 days, and then they weren't able to get them, and so then I have to wait another 5 days. So it just, I wasn't able to get those specific ones. But I did have a friend that was present during one of these instances where she brought her kids over, and whenever her kids come over, she'll come to my window, and say they can play for a little bit, but after that they can't play because she can't take the screaming. And our kids are like 11, 8, 2 are 11 and like 8. So they're just playing like normal kids will. And when we told her that just to like leave us alone, she started calling me a bitch. She's yelling, "You're a bitch, you're just a bitch." And then she's like, "Do you want to fight?" Ooh. And for me, it just is causing me anxiety because it's around my son.
Valhalla awaits.
And
Rated. Welcome.
I talked to the landlord.
Welcome,
even the maintenance
fans,
people have come to me and said that she'll yell at them as well to like leave, or so it's just like a constant thing. And the only reason I'm even doing this protection order right now is because my son is getting affected by it. Like he is so anxious about it, or when she comes to the window, he'll be like, "Can we just move?" Because it's such a constant. And she isn't doing anything to us like physically, but it's to the point where it's like mentally, where we're just like can't even be comfortable in our home.
And how long have you lived there?
I've lived here for almost 2 years in August.
And then was she there when you got there, or did she move in after that?
She wasn't. She moved in after. And the landlord
How
had...
did things go? It sounds like I read some of your, I mean, you had some texts from other people. It sounds like things started off well, or at least not bad.
Yeah, they were okay in the beginning. The landlord had told me, because he knew that I had my son who's young, he's 11, and that I work night shift. So he was talking to me about like trying to bring someone in that's quiet and who isn't going to be loud, because he's like, "I know you work night shift."
That backfired.
So he was under the impression that there wasn't going to be any issues. When I started going to him about it, he would apologize to me and he would say like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that she was going to be this difficult." I would text him and he would say like, "I'm going to talk to her." And when he would talk to her, it would go little periods of time where she would just leave me alone, but then it would just escalate after that. And I personally, like, when I live in places, and I've lived in a lot of places, I've lived in Georgia, I've lived in Kansas, I lived on military posts where I've never had this happen. So I wasn't sure what to do. It's just come to the point where I can't even, my son can't even play outside, or my friend doesn't even want to come over with their kids because she's like, oh, she's going to come yell at us, or my son is like, she'll tell me stuff about the cat, and she's like even directly talking to my son sometimes, and he's 11.
Okay. Let me hear from her. Hang on just a second. You submitted a video.
Oh.
I did.
Play it.
So once this started and I had talked to the cops and I had told them, I'm like, I have no proof because it's all been verbal. They advised me to get a camera for my front door. And they said that they would be able to use those, because I said that to them. I was like, am I even able to use that? Like, and they're like, yeah, we use it all the time in instances. Can I add one more thing as well? Just to add to the story. There is like this one hose, and it does sound very trivial, but so there's a hose that we share, and it has like a spigot, like the nozzle on the end, and we're supposed to share it. She took it off and said that she was going to keep it in her place because she has had it stolen before. I've almost been here for 2 years, and I've had no issues, like nothing. Nobody's come onto the property. It's been safe. Like I've had no issues at all. So I just let it be because I don't want it to be an issue. So my friend lent me a hose and the spigot on the end, or the trigger thing that you put to like wash a car or whatever. I went back. Yeah, nozzle. I went back out there and it was gone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like she took it. And I'm like, for me to go knock on her door to ask for something that is mine, I didn't even want to do that because I'm like, I already know this is going to be an issue. She's going to say something about the nozzle. She's going to like, you don't just take something that's not yours. So I did contact the police, and I apologized so many times because I feel like I'm wasting their time. And I told them, I was like, I'm so sorry. They keep reassuring me. They're like, no, this is what we're here for. It's not okay that this happened. She shouldn't be doing these kinds of things. And I'm like, and I know it's such a trivial thing, but I shouldn't have to like worry about my property being taken by someone. And then I have to go knock on their door to be like, can you please give it back? She tried to imply that her one in the back was stolen. I don't even go in the back in her area at all. Like I don't touch anything back there. She said,
did you get your nozzle back?
I did. She gave it back to them. So she did say that she took it. And so that's like the thing too, that I'm like, I don't understand. So
it's not appropriate to call this the battle of the hose. No, whoever said that.
Let me hear from her.
It's not the battle of the hose.
Raise your right hand.
It's about the cats.
Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I can put your hand down. What's your response to what you just heard?
Did you receive, this is 11 pages of my
affidavit.
When did that come in?
Sworn statement.
I didn't know I was supposed to have it like a week ahead of time. I got reprimanded at the counter. I brought it in Wednesday or Thursday. It's directly to you or Your Honor.
Respondents exhibits. No, I did not see that, to tell you the truth.
The clerk ripped me a new one because I was late with my 11-page affidavit.
You want to take a moment and read it? It's not really.
I do.
Okay, I'll be quiet then.
Judge Meyer, could you do me a favor and just read it out loud? Please. No. Bianca's gone now. Bianca, where's the cat? Oh, it's still there. Cat saw Bianca left. Another cat just got let in. Nice, okay. We have at least 2 cats now. I know the background's blurred, but there's definitely a kitty there. Okay, I'm just remembering right now something I heard. It's 11 pages. 11 pages long. Bianca, having set out her story. Nurse for God, thanks for gifting 5 memberships. Good to have you here. I think I just found a few more words on the banned words list. You did. Bianca says, how her story says, I almost feel bad doing this, but it's become, there's a kitty. Who's a kitty? Hold it up to the screen. Hold it up. You know it wants some camera time. Bianca's like, look, this seems trivial, it seems petty, but it's become a nuisance, even to the point where I'm unable to enjoy my residence. You know, the things that I should have is, you know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The whole pursuit of happiness thing is gone because of the cat complaints and the nozzle issue. And I see some whiskers. I see whiskers. But we've only heard half the story. There's another side of the story here. AJ's cooking show link. I don't have it yet. It might be a tuxedo cat. Need a list of the banned words. I might use them by accident. The thing is, if you use them, your text just doesn't show up. And you're like, why is my chat broken? I type and nobody sees it. You found a banned word. Promise you, if that cat jumps on Zoom with a human face, I am out of here, says AWOL. Sharkey, I agree. We need to see said cat, at least one of them. Okay. Judge just got to the good part. He's licking his lips. Well written chapter. It's on the edge of his seat. Oh, that was not the ending he expected. Big sigh from the judge. Duck lips as well. Judge Meyer pinching himself, trying not to laugh. Corner of his mouth involuntarily going up a little bit. Purses the lips to prevent the smile. Little sip of the Java juice from Bianca Meyer. Judge just finishing up. And now page 2. It's small font. It's small fonts. There's a lot. There's a kitty. Oh, he looks like mine. He's up on the back of the couch. He's ready to pounce. I'm going to object to Bianca's blurred background at this point. Ivan says, sorry, mods, just in general. I apologize for whatever happened. You know, these judges, they see all types. They have some horrendous cases where individuals have been victimized and harmed by someone who broke the law and broke social norms and everything else. And they have to, you know, find a way to find justice. Often in some of those cases, they can't give justice. They can give it a punishment, but they can't restore what was lost. And here we have a situation involving cats and a hose nozzle. Hose nozzle. You can't just say nozzle, because that sometimes that's might be on the naughty words list. Oh, there's another kitty. That's a different one. Clearly different. This is the tuxedo cat. Black cat, white paws. In background. So I've seen 2 of them now. Are we supposed to see the video? We did not see the video. Front neck tat. Is it painful in that area? Judge wants to be in the middle of a cat fight. He's engrossed in this reading, trying to soak it all in. 11 pages of just gripping story. I don't see him scrolling down at all. He still might be on page 1. This is the Advil face he's giving now.
So, I don't know if you had a chance to read what she submitted there, Ms. Meyer.
I didn't. Not if it wasn't able to go through.
No, it was all handwritten, and it's there, but it was submitted on Wednesday. On the final paragraph, and I have a number of questions.
Okay.
And the first is,
I have a headache too.
I'm fine with never having to interact with Bianca Meyer or her son again. However, I expect the same consideration. I do not want her son, her friend, or her friend's children anywhere within my sight. I don't want any of them to set foot in your yard. Isn't it a shared yard?
It's not really. The way it's situated, it's an old house. And when I moved in just a little over a year ago, and she'd moved in, and it doesn't really matter how long, but just 4 months before me, it seems to be an issue with her. So she's in the old house, and part of it goes off like here and in the back. And it was just a big room, and the landlord converted it into a house, basically. So so she has the front yard. I would prefer it the other way around, but because I'm responsible for mowing the backyard. She has no entrance. She doesn't have a back door. In my contract, it says I'm responsible for mowing the lawn and taking care of the lawn, and which I broke my wrist completely in half by trying to move a branch. But not only that, it's private. My living, how I live and move about in my apartment is private. The landlord has, I probably shouldn't mention it because it'll get repeated back. There's some gossiping going on, I've noticed, in that circle, but where he's come on the property. And we're not always, this is my home, and it's private back there. There's fence, and everybody's out there. So you walk about your home comfortable. I'm not I'm not completely following everything you're saying to me. My question to you, I think, was a pretty simple one. Okay.
And that is the backyard shared? And it's not uncommon to have common areas in rental property. Like
it is not in the contract. It is not in the contract.
Can you please not interrupt me, please?
I'm sorry.
I won't interrupt you either, all right? So, but is the general understanding that's a common area where, I mean, she apparently has a kid who sometimes hangs out there with friends. Is that she was telling me, and someplace else in there, that was a shared backyard. And so is that or is that not the case in your opinion?
It is not. And also, this is how I'm very, very disappointed, and I'm surprised that she's done this because I've been very generous to her. I've given her furniture, I've given her clothes, I've given her linen, I've taken care of her cats while she started a graveyard shift at the hospital in Tacoma. I don't believe that her son is a nervous type. She leaves him home all night long by himself. He's fine at 11. I've talked with the boy. I've offered if he's afraid, I'm right there. You can come and talk to me. I've given him a guitar. I've just been neighborly. And like I said, I took care of her cats for a couple of weeks while she got acclimated, and how I took care of them is she couldn't get them in the house and they needed to be in the house. She expects me not to speak to her cats. We're all right there together. We share a laundry room, but her cats are on top of my car. I don't mind. It's a 24-year-old car. They like to sleep on the sunroof. Pearl was there yesterday. She doesn't even want me to speak to them. And they're on my deck. And Jordan, one of the boy cats, managed to get in. He chewed his way through the pet thing that I had made and got into the house. And I have 6 cats myself, but it wasn't a friendly environment for the first 6 months when I moved in. She did not want me to go into her yard. She came out and yelled at me and embarrassed me in front of the maintenance guy. And I was just standing there asking him if I could make him a couple sandwiches for lunch. And she comes out and her friend's right there with her. And I needed to cross over to her yard to go around to the back to carry lumber. I'm not going to carry it through my house like that because I was building a pet enclosure. She has repeatedly told me she does not want me in her front yard. I'm not lingering. And I also, and I'm sorry, I mean, if the landlord could rig something else up with the faucet, I'm fine. But it's right there. I'm not their curtains are closed a lot, and I did communicate with her through her window. Sometimes she'd sit on the couch, her and Hunter, and we'd visit a little bit for whatever the reason was. I wasn't yelling at her. I did call out to her, and I mentioned that about Pearl. She just had surgery, and it was pouring down rain, and I was leaving to go to the store, and Pearl was looking at me to get her in, and she wasn't responding. But anyway, no, we were friends. We weren't friends. I want to say we were friends, even though she helped me with some things too. I broke my wrist. She zipped up my pants for me, offered to take me to the ER. She took my cat litter in for me. She took my water in for me. And so and all of a sudden in January, I offered to have her cat. I got a $300 voucher to have Pearl fixed and set up the appointment. She was all fine with it. All of a sudden, no, that's off. I didn't. I said, that's fine. I'm not going to do any more. I won't do any more for you. And I walked out of the picture. So I'm not in it the first 6 months. I feel attacked. And then she started approaching me. She helped me dig a hole. I lost one of my cats. I'm out in the backyard digging a hole with a broken wrist. She had dug the first few holes, So we were interacting neighborly. I had told her originally after the first 6 months, and I saw it wasn't going well. I said, look, we're going to get along one way or another because I'm not moving. And maybe that is her goal. My landlord has never come to me and said there was a problem. When she puts her arm, people will do this to us without doing this, okay? And I stay away. I've never been okay with the kids in the backyard. And this is my home. Sometimes I walk to get something in the kitchen or whatever, naked. I really don't want that to come back to the court and say I was showing myself naked to the children when I don't even know that they're out there. It is a private backyard. She doesn't have entrance through the back door. There is nothing in my contract said that it was shared. And for the first year, but the kids didn't go back there. And all of a sudden one day I come home and there's, why should I have to put up with all these other kids that don't even live there in my backyard screaming? I'm not a well person as it is. I have a lot of health issues and I need peace and quiet in my own home. And that's all I'm asking for. I can stay away from her. I don't need to anything. And I won't. This is not reconcilable at all. I'm really hurt by her because I've given her nice furniture and other things. I've just tried to be neighborly with her, and I'm really disappointed that she has felt that she needs to do this. The nozzle, it happened more in the apartment I lived in. Somebody took my nozzle, cut the end of the hose. So that's just habit. She knows I was in a habit of doing that. Didn't steal anything. She goes on to say that I stole her possessions. What possessions? It was the nozzle. And I've got had a heart attack, 10 o'clock at night. I've got 2 police officers at my door. I've got a family too. And I'm thinking something's happened to them over a nozzle. She knows all she has to do is ask me. I did get upset because when I went to the window, because the kids were out playing when I came home that day, and it's all in here. And I asked, her friend I just talked to the window, and her friend was standing right there. There's no sense in knocking. They're probably not even going to come anyway, to tell her friend to tell the kids to quiet down. Because that's all. And her son was not present. He was in the backyard when I went there, because it's right there. And he was there when I went back. She's lying to you. She's lying to the court.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Yeah, give me a minute to.
Who breaks their wrist? I was going to say who breaks their wrist with no pants on, but she explained that one. I guess. Natural gardening. is how it happens. Judge is like, maybe I'll read the rest of this document. Let's get to page 3. See where did we leave off? All right. I normally keep my windows closed. The judge only asked if the guard was private. That was the response, Hazel. Objection non-responsive would be the lawyer's objection about 10 minutes ago.
Go ahead, ma'am. Ms. Meyer.
So the first time that the incident happened with the kids in the backyard, which the yard is huge. It's a really huge backyard. Like right behind the house, there's another set of apartments that kids all play in back there. Like we're surrounded by houses. So there's kids that play in this on the other side of the fence. So the first time that this happened with the yard, I did talk to the landlord and I did say, she's saying that the yard isn't shared. I just like wanted to make sure, because I'm like, if it's not shared, then I won't have Hunter go back there. And he said, no, the backyard is shared. He said that it's an open area. He's like, why would there be that big backyard if your son couldn't play in it? Like there was even toys. There was even like a house back there that he put back there for my son to play with. In regards to her saying that she has been generous, I know that she is elderly. I know that she's older. I tried to be polite and I just have been trying to be nice. So yes, of course, like when she asks me for help or when she wants to say like, oh, I have this for you. I'm like, oh, sure. Like I'll look through it. But that doesn't like justify the way that she has been talking to me or the way that she approaches my window or anything. Like I have never given her anything. I've helped her with things, but I'm not saying like, oh, I've been generous to her. So because I've been that way, that should give her no right to do anything to me. That's not the case. So I have never.
About the guitar?
The guitar, she gave my son a guitar and she told me, and I was like, oh, that's really nice. And then she asked for it back. So that was the end of the story for that.
How long did he have the guitar?
Oh, not very long. He didn't really play with it. I want to say it was like maybe a few weeks or so. Like she gave it and then it was just kind of there. And then she asked for it back and then that was the end of it. And I didn't even think anything of that. I didn't even remember that until she said that. But I will say that when she says that she's supposed to mow her own lawn, I'm not sure how that is for her, because for me, the landlord has maintenance people that come out and mow it. They take care of that on my side, at least. So there was one instance where right in front of my door, I heard yelling and there was stuff going on. So I went out there and I was like, what's going on? And the maintenance men are like, oh, we went out to the backyard to mow the lawn, but your neighbor came out and started yelling at us saying like, what are you doing on my property? So we stopped and we came out, and then she's doing that. And I'm like, what's going on? Like I kept trying to figure out what was going on. And she's like, this has nothing to do with you. This has nothing to do with you. So it was just kind of like an issue, but it's all happening by my front door. And in those videos that I sent you, it shows her walking in the front door, like through the front of like my door. And the reason that I say that there's no reason for her to be in the front is because she has access to the backyard through her area. And for her to come out in front, it's like I'm surrounded by her basically. So she'll walk out and she'll come around to my window, yell through my window. She'll walk around all the way to the back. Plus I feel like I'm surrounded where she's in the back and I never go back there unless my son is playing. And it's so, I was going to even like draw a diagram because I'm like the yard is so far back there. It's not even close to her place. She has a huge patio and the yard is way in the back. So they're not even close to her windows or anything. And they're not even interested in like what's going on over here around her. They're out there playing and they're not screaming. They're only 8 and 11. So I have talked to the landlord. He has confirmed that it is a shared yard. The maintenance men have come to me multiple times about her. And even just a few days ago, they came out and mowed my lawn and they were like, I brought my wife and the maintenance guy's like, I brought my girlfriend to help me mow the lawn and I'm trying to move quickly because I know that the neighbor might yell or do something. So they are even aware. They brought it to me about the way that she's speaking to them. And I just apologize. I'm just like, I know I feel the same way because I can't even be in my home because she comes and yells in the windows. So it's not something that I'm just like throwing up out of thin air. Like it's something that has been ongoing. I've just kind of dealt with it because I'm like, I don't know what else to do. And then my family and my friends have come to me and been like, no, that's harassment. You don't just like have someone come to your window and yell through the window. I am not a yeller. I don't scream. I don't yell. I'm a single mom. I've raised my son. He's 11 years old. And she says that he's not a nervous kid. My son literally has anxiety. He's been diagnosed with sensory delay because he gets overstimulated in situations. If I have to like give you documents about his IEP and his anxiety, like I can also do that. My son lives in a household. He lives with his dad. He lives with me. It's not always an easy situation. And for me, this is solely about my son. I just don't want him to feel like we have to worry about the neighbor coming to the window. Like he will tell me like, Mom, like we should just move because it's so much. Like it's gotten to a point where it's so much. She says that she's going to leave me alone, but I have left her alone since the incident with the cat and the vet.
Hang on just a minute. Sorry, Ms. Meyer. Find out who that is and don't let them in until they identify themselves. You've already let them in. Yeah.
Somebody's on Zoom.
Well, you can send them a chat. Find out who they are first.
The friend. Is this the friend?
Can I go ahead? Sorry.
No. Just hang on just a second.
Okay.
Hold, please, says the judge. We don't want somebody talking in the middle of court if they're not supposed to be here. Please be the landlord. He's like, I'm kicking you both out. We're raising the house. Gonna make a parking lot instead. Sick of these problems.
Tell them they can watch on YouTube and then go ahead and take it up and take it off.
Judge doesn't want viewers on the Zoom. They can watch on YouTube. All right.
You may continue, Ms. Meyer.
I also just like want to add that if I need to, because I did talk to the landlord about this, he is aware that I have filed this anti-harassment and he advised me to like go ahead. So I've been told by multiple people that it's something that I should just do because I don't know what to do at this point. Even her saying like she knows when my son is here alone or things like that, like that's like how even just saying things like that is how she's aware of like things that are going on. I have a friend that comes and picks him up. He's with his dad part of the night. So that's even that I'm like, she's so focused and knows what is going on in my place or around me. So that I don't have any idea what's going on with her ever because she's constantly over here.
Usually the nosy neighbor isn't the nudist.
The reason that she says that I'll leave her alone and I won't have any contact with her. We tried that with the cat and it just escalated and got worse. So that's why I'm at the point where I'm like, if this doesn't go through, is it going to make me to the point where I'm going to have to move? Because she says that she's not going to talk to me or leave me alone. But I feel like since that, it has escalated. Because that last incident where she was yelling through my window, calling me a bitch, she literally was like, you're a bitch. Do you want to fight? Like she literally was yelling that through my window. My friend was there too. And I sent you the document of when she said that. Like that, it's come to the point where it's just too much. My landlord already confirmed that it's a backyard that is shared. He's already confirmed that. And he's been here when the kids were in the backyard. he has been here present and he's never approached me and he did not say they need to go in the front because that's her backyard. And if I need to get like a letter or something from the landlord, I can also do that because I know that he has talked to her. And he, even in that, I sent you a text message from him as well, even saying like, I'm going to talk to her. She needs to leave you alone. Like he's been aware of it.
Go ahead. I'll hear from you, ma'am.
One more time.
There's a
Round
video?
2.
Yes. I mean, it's very short. I don't think it shows
what
me that
is
much.
it of? Am I calling her out to fight with the broken wrist?
No,
I'm
there's
70
no-
years
as
old.
far as I can-
don't do that.
Okay, so,
That's a lie.
okay.
But if it is on the recording and I
No,
don't
there-
know what, and
there's-
maybe I'm out of my mind or something.
You know, earlier you had said like the landlord favors her. What did
Does
you
favor
mean
her.
by that?
He does, excuse me?
What did you mean by that?
He does favor, he was, all right, here's an example. She requested an immediate protection order. The day that, I'll get to that, because he was screaming at me about her being out there. So she ordered.
Landlord was screaming at you.
Landlord was screaming at me. And I said, you're showing favoritism. So she filed a immediate protection order on May 5th. You've read this. On the next day, I'm standing on my deck. The landlord had come out because there's a problem with the raccoons. So he's out in the backyard too. She comes out around her house. So she's coming around the back. And so there's this opening between the fence and the house. And she's standing there with her friend, and I'm on the deck, and she's faced toward me and giving me the dirtiest looks. She's provoking me. And then she's leaning into her friend, whispering. And I told the landlord, she's standing right there provoking me. This is I have no privacy here. So she did that. And then exactly 6 days later, the maintenance guy, I guess, brought his girlfriend. I've never had a problem with them. When I first moved in, I didn't know. The landlord doesn't give you any notice. He's just all over the place. But I'm standing in my kitchen. I'm going, who's this guy in my backyard? I yelled out, what are you doing in my backyard? That was the end of it. That was all it was. But she's made more out of it than it is. She's adding things to things and blowing them up to make a case for herself. And she's lying. So again, so the maintenance guy comes over, he's got his girlfriend. This was May 12th, 6 days from, she needs that immediate protection from me. I could see that the maintenance guy, he was mowing my little lawn, part of my lawn, what I cut out for myself. And his wife was there, I guess, her girlfriend, and over by where she was at, she was hiding there between the house and the fence, gossiping. That's what she's doing. I've had nothing to do with her. Since January, when she declined my offer to take the cat to the vet because she told me she didn't have any money to pay for Pearl to get fixed because Pearl had gotten pregnant twice. The cats are all over the place. I don't know how she expects me not to talk to them or have anything to do with them. They're all over the place. Then I told her I was leaving from my house. It was going to the store. It was pouring down rain, and I could see her in there. I don't go to her window. And I had gone to her when we were talking a couple different times. If I went up to her, I can't help it that the nozzle's by her window. I don't even look at it now, But I had left that night. It was pouring down rain, and Pearl was she was all over the place trying to get in the house, and she couldn't get her attention. And I said, Pearl needs to come in. I'm not screaming. I'm at my car in the driveway. And she ignores me. And I could tell that she heard me.
So, ma'am, I'm just going to stop you for a second, but I frankly feel like you're raising a voice at me.
I'm not I'm absolutely not. I'm upset that I'm being accused and that she's making it sound like more than it is. This is me. When I get upset, I'm going to get a little bit loud. And she's lying. She's just lying. She's trying to use this to try to get me evicted is what she's trying to do.
What's the situation with your cats, ma'am, Ms. Meyer?
Yes, I rescued Pearl, the one she was talking about, and she got pregnant. I couldn't afford to get her fixed. She's fixed now. She offered to help me with it, and I was like, sure, like that would be great. But she wanted me to put up like $300 and something, which is a lot for me. So I ended up just finding somewhere where I could do it for 90. And so then I told her that. I just simply said, I scheduled something else and it's $90, and that was the end of it. And she was like, I could tell she was upset. She's like, don't ask me to help you anymore. Like, don't ask me to help you. And then she left, and I was just like, okay. My cats are outdoor and indoor cats. They'll come and like meow at the door when they want to come in. So then I'll let them in. I don't have there was no issues with the cats just like roaming. I have friends that have indoor and outdoor cats. It's pretty normal. And then at night I get them in here. The only reason that I feel like they're even by her door or by her car, or they go out into her porch, is because she puts food out there. So she talks about like a raccoon issue, but she puts food out in the front and in the back. And her cats are only indoor cats. So of course it's going to attract animals, or my cats are going to go over there and eat the food that she puts out. I have like talked to the landlord about that as well, because he did come to me the day that she's talking about, like where she said that the landlord was yelling at her. My son and my friend's kids were in the back. So we just went out there to look at them because we know that she will talk to them or she'll yell. So when I went out there, I looked at the landlord, and she seen me look at her. I wasn't staring her down. And so then she starts to yell and says, she's staring me down. Don't you see her? She's staring me down. And then that's why the landlord raised his voice, is because she was yelling. So then he yelled and he said, she's not doing anything. She can look wherever she wants to look. And then he says, like, that's why he raised his voice. So he wasn't directly yelling at her. He was yelling because she was yelling, and he was trying to de-escalate the situation. I
yelled to de-escalate.
I wasn't going back there to provoke her. I just wanted to make sure that she wasn't going to talk to the kids, because the kids will come in here and you know how it is with like 8-year-olds and 11-year-olds. They will tell you every single thing that everybody is saying. They'll tell you every single thing. So that's why I was like, I don't want them to see anything. I just don't want them to be around like the dysfunction. My son has never been around people yelling at him like that, so he's not used to it. I know that right now it sounds like it's like so much like she said, like a he said, she said situation. And that's what I was afraid of. And that's what I talked to the cops about. Because I was like, so far, it's just been so many verbal things. I have no intention of trying to get her evicted. That's not why I'm doing this. I just want it to be something where I know for a fact that she's not going to talk to me or talk to my son. The window, she says that she comes, like she literally is saying, I come and talk to her through the window. That isn't a normal behavior. I've lived in apartments. I've lived in duplexes. I've never had neighbors come and talk to me through the window. They will knock on my door, and if I don't answer, I don't answer. And then that's that. And if they want to see me, or they'll leave a note or something, but it's never, I feel like she's saying, even her saying like, I come to her window, or like it's just getting to be too much. So I know, and I've talked to the landlord, he doesn't favor me. I think it's because of the way that I speak to him, and we both hold respect for each other, that he is speaking to me the way that he's speaking to me. I've never had any issues. I've never had to call him for anything. If there's something that needs to be fixed, I fix it. I even feel bad even contacting him about this, because he already has so many things that he needs to worry about. And then me saying like, oh, this is the neighbors here talking to me again. The neighbors here going through coming to my window again.
Put in chat what the solution is. What should the judge do?
It's just gotten to be too much.
You're the judge now.
You can have the final word there.
I will. She's lying. I got her a $300 voucher in my name. I obviously being a senior, I can get help from other resources. I've never asked her to pay for it. That's why she said she didn't have the money. So she's lying. It was a $300 voucher, and I made the appointment with my vet. Anyway, so she's lying about that. I've never yelled at her son, ever. There's been no kids around in the backyard for an entire year, and then all of a sudden all these kids just show up. But I have never yelled at her. Yes, I'm loud because I'm upset right now, you know? And that's just part of my emotional makeup. That's just how it goes. As far as talking to her through her window, we were cordial at that time. The way it's situated is it's a long driveway, and I drive all the way to the back, and she just pulls up on the gravel. And she has one of those old picture windows. Well, I see her, the curtain was open, we're getting along, and the window's open a little bit. And I walk past, and oh, hi. And instead of going to the door, instead of her getting up, she has to walk around a sectional couch, I chit-chatted with her for a second. There's nothing, I don't see anything odd or mental about that. It's just being neighborly, period. And anyway, she's literally is just taking everything. I will go back to this video. Is that lawful? I mean, it's on private property. I didn't know I was being videotaped.
It's okay to have a security camera over your front door, which is what she has.
I never saw one, and I was kind of suspicious, huh?
Doesn't mean it's not there.
Okay, but shouldn't it be posted that it's there?
No.
I read online that it should. Okay. Well,
I don't
wow.
think so.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get one too, but I didn't have that kind of money. Can she see me?
Can she see you?
Yeah.
From here? Yes, I assume so. She's got her camera on.
So anyway, this is just going back and forth. I am troubled about the continuing. It wasn't so. All I asked for was the kids to have the kids to quiet down. That's all. That's it. Oh, as far as her son, she's making it kind of sound like I'm kind of being a little creepy with her son. I knew that he was home the last time that I knew he was home. I was out spraying the rocks and everything else off the long driveway, and I saw him in there. And I just went up there and talked to him for a minute. He shared some things about himself with me, and I'm right here if you get scared or anything. I've always been nice to him. And he had the guitar for a couple months, but it doesn't matter the length of time. My daughter came over. I didn't know that she still wanted it back because it's a sentimental thing. She doesn't even play. I was going to, and I wrote that. I was looking around for something else to replace it, but none of this is going to happen now. I'm through with her. I don't want her coming in. If the kids come back in there, and kids are loud, and little girls, they're screeching. They're like that. All this kind of behavior, standing there intimidating me. Well, I'm in my own house, or I'm on my deck enjoying my day with my cats, and her friend. Her friend's terrible. Her friend's kind of nasty. She's the one that set me off that day. That's why I called her a bitch. And the fight. Oh, well, I don't have to get into that with you. we know that's not true. Then. Well. Whatever you want to do.
Thank you.
She's going to say whatever she wants to say, and boy, this is going to come back to bite her in her lifetime. Should be dishonest.
Judge can't wipe the smile. Can't wipe the smile off his face.
So,
okay,
a couple of things.
Yes. Let's hear your thoughts, Judge.
I previously read the definition of unlawful harassment. I'm going to do it again. Actually, hang on just a minute. Sorry.
She's in the courtroom, so when the judge is talking, the camera that switches around for the active participant switches to the judge. unless she makes a noise, and then it will switch back to her until another noise is made. It's a switcher that follows the audio, so it's video follows audio on that top window.
Unlawful harassment is a knowing and willful course of conduct directed at a specific person that seriously alarms, annoys, harasses, or is detrimental to such person and serves no legitimate or lawful purpose. Course of conduct must be such as would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress and must actually cause substantial emotional distress to the petitioner. Course of conduct is a series of acts over a period of time, however short, evidencing continuity of purpose. Course of conduct concludes any form of communication, contact, or conduct, including the sending and it gets in electronic communication. We don't need to do that. You know, this is, these are tough cases, but on the other hand, unfortunately, we see these sorts of cases quite frequently, either apartment complexes, and as far as I can tell, these are two living establishments on the same piece of property, as far as I can tell. Is that accurate?
It is.
Can we agree on that?
It is.
And so apparently there's a shared back. Again, Ms. Meyer told me this is a shared backyard. You say there's nothing in their contract about that. But Ms. Meyer has indicated that the landlord has indicated that's a shared backyard. And that makes sense to me, given the description of the premises. On the other hand, orders of these sorts, you know, in such confined areas, you know, can be problematic. They can be difficult to enforce. They can create all kinds of things about whether or not, you know, does this violate the order or not? You know, if there's distance restrictions, don't come within X amount of feet and all that sort of stuff.
They live at the same address practically. You can't do that.
And Ms. Meyer comes and she's listigated a number of things that Ms. Adams is alleged to have done. You know, and again, you're right in the sense, and Ms. Adams is right in the sense that, yeah, just talking to someone through their window, yeah, that's not a problem. People do that when you walk by. Oh, yeah, how's it going? And that's one characterization of the communication between the conversation through the window. On the other hand, Ms. Meyer says, no, she comes and stands out my window and berates me and tells me all the things I'm doing wrong with regard to the cats and my child, I should say, it's not children. And the kids are in the back and all this sort of stuff. And so one person's conversation is another person's, for lack of a better word, harassment. And, you know, and I kind of have to judge this based on, I judge it on a lot of things, what's been submitted, evidence, and the testimony of witnesses and evidence combined with how people behave in court and the manner in which they present themselves.
Nurse for God, thank you. I missed this earlier. Thank you so much.
You had indicated earlier, you know, I can do what I want. And yes, thank you. I do have the discretion to enter an order that I feel is appropriate. And
no more naked in the shared
Can I
yard.
say one last thing? And then I'll leave you alone.
I'm not sure how I can stop you, but go ahead.
Just for fun.
I'm going to stop you about that. You know,
she indicated.
Hang on just a second.
I just want to see her response.
Just stop for a minute.
Oh.
Listen to me.
Okay.
Okay. So, you know, actually that throwaway comment actually tells me quite a lot. This isn't fun. This isn't fun for her. I don't think it's fun for you. It's not very much fun for me to sit there and listen to two people who live next to each other and are going to continue to live next to each other. So when you say things like, well, this is just for fun, kind of tells me how seriously you're taking it. Now, go ahead. You wanted to say something? Go right ahead.
Well, I that just kind of popped out of my mouth because I'm bewildered about this, that anybody would say something about another person like this. But I see she does like to gossip. I'm curious as her explanation of she checked that I tried to kill myself. Could we get a response for that? Because I did indicate I couldn't understand it for the longest time, and I wanted to respond to that. And so I Googled it, and there is an explanation of why somebody would start that kind of a rumor. And I would like to hear why she would check that on that thing.
Ms. Meyer, go ahead.
I'm not exactly sure what she's talking about.
Okay, so hang on just a minute. Let me look at your petition. I assume that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The view in court of the lady at the table there reminds me of like having multiple windows open on an old Windows PC and they're like nested inside. I keep on wanting to close the windows. Those other benches, those blue bars, I want to close them all down. It's triggering me.
Where are you talking about?
I'm going to get it because I wouldn't have said anything about it if it wasn't on here.
It says on the petition on page 12 of the position, it says suicidal behavior. Describe any threats. And
That's not
blank.
it. There's another place. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm just trying to find it for myself. I saw that too, but that's not it. Just 1 second. I think it's before that. Oops, just 1 second, please. Because it's in here.
We have lost the art of talking to each other.
Well, she must know she checked it. Cause,
She said she didn't know what you were talking about.
yeah, well, I do know what I'm talking about. It's in here. I just need a minute. I'm just overly anxious right now. My heart, here it is. It's on page 2. It says disability, hazard, and weapon information about the restrained person. And it's checked suicide attempt or threats. First, she says,
that was on the law enforcement.
yeah, it says, does the restrained person have a disability, brain injury, or impairment?
That was on the
It says
LEA.
unknown, and then it's checked suicide attempt. I don't have that in my life.
So it does check that in the information that was sent the law enforcement. Do you know why that box was checked, Ms. Meyer?
I don't. I did. If she's saying that it has, like, if there's multiple things, if it says like.
No, it says, does this person have a disability, brain injury, or impairment? That's unknown. Hazard information, history includes, and then the box checks. Suicide attempt or threats.
I must have read it where it said or threats, which I was assuming was like threatening. So I thought it was like a multiple thing.
That meant suicide attempt or threats of suicide. So do you take that perceived as threats to you?
Yeah, when she was telling me like, do you want to fight? I was assuming that it was just threats in general. I didn't realize that it said it's to like pertaining to suicide.
Support
but
question.
There has nothing.
So do you have any thoughts of that, or do you remember anything like that? Oh, I see what you're saying. But you're not saying there that you're aware of any suicide attempts or not?
No, absolutely not.
Does that clear that up for you?
Yeah. I apologize for my outburst. I'm very upset by the whole thing because I have to live so close to her and I can't move. I've moved myself out. I'm not well enough to move again, so she can't live with it and she wants to make all this stuff up. I don't know what else to say about it. But I don't know what to tell her about her cats. That's up to you because they're all, and I don't feed them anymore. The landlord did make an issue about me putting the food out, and so I'm not putting any out since he was here. He's in Florida.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, why would you do that?
The food?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's cat food. I have 6 cats.
Right.
And
I'm told they're all inside, though.
Yes, my cats are inside. That's why.
Why would you put cat food outside?
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
And they're not allowed outside. They just have the enclosure on the deck. But they're spoiled. They always have a lot of food, dry food and wet food. And there's always leftover. And I don't want anything to go into the garbage. And so I put it out. Well, anyway,
So hang on a second.
Yes.
So you're saying your cats, you put that out there.
Because there's leftovers.
Okay, for leftover of your food.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you realize that attracts like other cat? Hang on, let me finish, please. I got some raccoons, which are a danger to cats.
Yes.
And so that by leaving that food out there, that attracts
Yes.
those cat predators.
Well, I have a raccoon and some babies underneath the house now. They're tearing up underneath the kitchen floor.
Right.
And we're working on that. And I've got a mother and father possum. They're the cutest thing. I got videos on that. And I got a little gray mouse that lives underneath the house. And that little raccoon come up to the door the other day. It was the cutest thing. I have a glass window for my door, and it was like this. I haven't looked up, walking past, I haven't looked up, and it was like this. It was the raccoon, the mama. She just lost a bunch of weight. She asked them for the
just
food.
had babies.
It was so
But
cute.
do you understand, while raccoons are very cute, and I agree with that, those are dangerous for cats?
They already want two of them.
And so
already stole one of my cats and took it and ate it. I know.
Right. So why would you put something out there that attracts them?
I know. I'm my heart's double on that. I know because two of them did take it.
So here's where I'm at, ma'am. Based on it, again, of course, I have to make certain, I'm hearing one thing from you, I'm hearing another thing from Ms. Meyer, and then I know this has probably gone on longer than either one of you would have liked, but nonetheless, here we are. And so I have to make determinations one way or the other and, make credibility assessments and then just make a decision based on everything that I've presented. And for what I'm going to do basically is, I do find that and maybe you didn't realize it, and maybe you do now, that your behavior and the interaction between you and Ms. Meyer has gone beyond what one would perceive as normal and does go into harassing behavior. So an order is going to be entered, and the only parameter of this order is, like a lot of times we have, don't engage in stalking behavior, which really isn't the case. Can't do a distance restriction because I can't enter an order that makes you leave or anything like that. You're just not to contact her or her child. Don't communicate with her. Don't do anything. Some of the things you say, I don't necessarily find to be, you might think that she was provoking you, but I can't make any for finding that she did anything to provoke you. She was just out there and she gave me a mean look. Well, I just don't look at that as being provocative. And also, it makes sense to me that that's a shared yard, and that's a big yard that, kids are going to play in. And kids, you have at least one child you mentioned.
I don't have any children.
I thought you said your daughter was on the guitar. Was I wrong about that?
My children are in their 50s. I'm 70 years old.
Well, but they're still your children. And when they were young, I'll bet when they played, they made some noise. And so my point being that if you have experience raising children. And when children play with friends outdoors, that sometimes can be loud. And that's just goes with the territory of kids playing. And so, and that's, again, I'm just saying that just for the purpose of saying that. So the order is going to be entered. It's going to be in one place, and you're just not to. And by the other point I was going to make, these cats are Ms. Meyer's responsibility. And she's the one who needs to look after them and all that sort of stuff. And you're not the. And so you just need to remember that and let her take care of her own cats. However, if she's doing something wrong or what have you, that can be up to other people, but you're not to be responsible or worried about her cats. You understand that?
I quit feeding them.
Okay. And so that's where it's at, and it'll exist for 1 year. And that's where we're at. Do you have any questions at all about what this order is going to say?
I'm still concerned about her and her friend standing out in the backyard and trying to intimidate me. I really, truly am. Her friend is not a pleasant person at all.
Your Honor, can I say something?
No, I don't think you should at this time.
Just be
I'm going to say something, though. And that is, her friend isn't here. And, people are going to be able to stand where they're allowed to be. They can stand in the shared backyard. You can too. And you're just not to talk to each other. And if you have an issue with her friend, you can, you can take whatever steps that are necessary to deal with that, or
legal steps. Don't just.
But that's, I'm not this order doesn't going to govern who she can have over and all that sort of stuff. And if they start doing something, harassing to you, you can bring it back and we can talk about that. But her friend's not here. She's not a part of this right now. Good. I hope so.
I do.
And I hope that if you two can stay away from each other and leave each other alone, things will calm down and everybody can live peacefully in their own place.
What's she gonna do about her cats? They're all over. I'm not feeding them, but they're on my deck. They're on the roof. They're on top of the car, and I quit feeding them. I know they want to eat, but I said no. I'll get in trouble. They want me to talk. How do you not talk to cats?
Okay.
There's a soundbite.
There's nothing in the order that restrains you from talking to cats.
Well, thank you. Because I don't want the cops to have to waste their time to come out and do that, and I don't want to run over the poor Pearl while she's underneath my car. I love them. I love the cats. And I'm not feeding them. I'm trying to get a raccoon to come out underneath the house so we can trap her with the babies and be done with it. I'm not going to put food out after once I get the raccoons out.
I'm not going to put food out once I get the raccoons.
Have you talked with your landlord about the raccoons?
Yeah, we're working on it. He actually had, when the maintenance guy bring a trap, he didn't set the trap up right, but yeah, that's the problem because he never goes back to check on it, and you can't leave her. You can't leave.
Raccoons can present issues for humans as well.
Huh? Yes, absolutely. Oh, well, that's why we're trapping it. But he brought it out. He didn't set up right. Whoever came out, and they didn't even tell me that it was trapping. You can't leave a defenseless animal trapped up in a trap and not and let it starve to death in a trap.
She let it go?
So we're working on it. Landlord's in Florida. He'll be back in 2 weeks.
She let it go.
We're taking care of it. Because he's it's under there, tearing up the kitchen floor. I don't want my floor tore up.
I don't think your landlord does either.
No, he doesn't. We're working on it.
We'll give you a copy of that order for you to go. Any questions? Again, I'm going to leave with this, and I hope you take this to heart, Ms. Adams. You're just not to contact Ms. Meyer or her child, communicate with her in any way.
And that goes with them too.
No, it does not. The only person on this order is the petitioner.
They can contact me and bother me.
If they contact you, then you can go and get your own order. But right now, the only person who's subject to the order, she's a petitioner.
I may have to do that.
You can certainly do that.
Certainly do that.
That's it for today, ma'am. Ms. Meyer, a copy of this order will get emailed to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And you're free to go, ma'am.
Wow.
We can go off the record. I'll sign those off.
We can go off the record. Josh, thank you for that one. Oh my goodness. You guys be better neighbors. Please, let's just be better neighbors to each other. Let's not get to that point with anybody. Oh. What a great day in court today. A lot of stuff happening. And we're not done yet. We've got more to go. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better. Please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning, where we continue with day 20. Day 20 of the Karen Reed trial. The prosecution is nearing the end of their case. The end is in sight. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. We have a witness that'll be on the stand again tomorrow, giving more testimony about some of the glass, the shards that she tested, the reflectivology, I can't even remember the word, but all the technical stuff, the material, did it match, did it not, was it the same glass, was it a different glass? We'll find out about that. And then we've got Dr. Welcher coming up as well, who's going to do some more technical analysis on some of the timelines and things like that. So accident reconstruction is happening before our eyes. Then the prosecution is going to rest and defense will take over. That's a whole other ball of wax we get to watch on that one. You guys have a great night. Thank you very much for sticking around with me. Josh, thanks for the that hot take on the cat issue out of Washington. I'm going to be thinking about that for a little while. You guys have a good night. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. You're my new best friend.
Because he's the guy.
I'm not a cat.